Perfect. What's up, everybody? Welcome to ProBots. Yeah, Drekken's here.
Oh, wow.
Endersword's here, and BenBotBC's here. I'm gonna throw it to Drekken real quick. He wants to have any words.
Fantastic. Wow. I thought I was gonna get a few seconds. I stepped away and then I came back and we're live. That's amazing. Thank you, production. I love you. Much hearts for the quick start. Yes, we're here. We're back for day 4 of ProBots. You lovely people have been waiting long enough, a whole week, and I weep for you. But good news, it's over. The wait is over, and we're here for ProBots Live. I'm here with the absolute smartest person on this entire panel, Endersword, the genius, the genius of ProBots Central, and then returned from the ether, long lost BenBotBC. Gentlemen, welcome back. Oh, and I'm Drekken, your host, just in case that wasn't clear by the time we started.
And just some guy, Drekken.
Just some guy. Yeah. I'm actually probably the least important. So, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. The gang is back in town, minus CatRock. Don't worry, CatRock. We'll see you at the finals or next week, whichever comes first. But BenBotBC, this is your first ProBots of this season.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I'm glad that I'm coming in for the winners matches. I feel like these are going to be where the most exciting sets happen, and I love that you get to just hop right in there. I feel like every name that is here, I kind of recognize from last season, so I got like a baby amount of expectations going. But I think these will just be like really fun games.
I want to say that actually he's lying to you. He actually said to me he would not cast the losers. He actually refused. He's like, I won't do any bots that are lower than Micro Machine.
Sometimes luck is man-made, you know? And so I got very lucky. I got very blessed by my own hand that I get to start here.
Right here. And before we actually figure out where here is, Endersword, you're back, of course. You're here.
Speak,
son. I've just been here the whole time. I haven't moved from this chair since last week.
I mean,
pretty much.
It could be true.
Yeah,
but
it's close.
What we will find out that has changed, but hasn't changed since last week, is the format. Production, show it to us. All right, Endersword, give us your spiel.
Yeah. Basically, we've got 2 rectangles. On the left side rectangle, we have a group of 4 things in a rectangle, maybe the corners of each rectangle, who knows. They play in a best of 3 double elimination style tournament, GSL style as I call it. And the top 2 get out of that group, and the bottom 2 stay in that group forever, and then we eventually crush that group into a small cube and throw it away. And we are currently on the winners match part of that. So the winners of tonight will be the first ones to advance to the right triangle, or the right rectangle, sorry. Yeah, well, we could do it as a triangle. It's 2 triangles technically, put together. So there we are entered the single elimination bracket. Then the quarterfinals are best of 3, semis are best of 5, and finals are best of 7.
So speaking of rectangles, let's see what that bracket looks like. Let's see what BenBotBC has missed all this time. Boom.
Oh, that's some rectangles right there.
Right there, right? I heard you like some rectangles, so I put your rectangles with more rectangles. And those rectangles form our bracket with CatRock, Tier, Micro Machine, SharkBot, Zena, BenBot, and Eris, Zozo. These are the names. Like, if there was a ProBots Illuminati, these would be them.
Exactly. And has anyone else spiritually heard that Pimp My Ride turned out to be mostly fake?
Wait, what?
So that's where the whole meme comes from, of like I hear you like rectangles, so we put rectangles in your rectangle so you can rectangle away your rectangle. That's where it comes from.
Yes.
Is that whole show, but the whole show turned out to be mostly fake.
I thought that was a bot that you really wanted to go far. No. And I was like, I would have ridden for Pimp My Ride too.
Okay. Yeah. So wait. I'm at the chance that we will go on to a tangent, but how is it fake when literally the ride gets pimped?
Because they never fix the car. So they just pretend that they were fixing the car, and then they put a bunch of things in the car that don't really work. So like all those times where they're like, we put a PlayStation in the car and stuff, it's not really attached to anything.
Just doesn't turn on.
Like it's just plugged into the wall, but they make it look like it's coming through the dashboard. So it doesn't really work at all. And one guy, they put like a friggin' cotton candy machine in the guy's trunk, and that doesn't work. Like none of it worked. And then the guys on the show were like, not only did they not fix the car, like the engine or anything like that was wrong with it, but at the end of the show, they would take some of the stuff back. So it'd be like, we gave you a PS3 in your thing because that was the time it was. But then at the end, they're like, anyway, here's your car back. We're going to take the PlayStation back. And they didn't even give it to the people. And then half their stories of like, this guy likes eating Twinkies and his car is full of Twinkie wrappers. They would just show up at the guy's house with a bunch of Twinkie wrappers and throw it in the guy's car.
I mean, okay, but
like, it was awful.
We all kind of, we like that though. Like we want it. Like those are the stories we want.
We don't want real reality TV. We want heavily skewed our take on reality TV.
I assume most of it was nonsense, but I did assume that they actually fixed the person's car.
Yes,
I would think the car would be drivable.
That's the least you can do.
Okay, but you know what's not fixed? These brackets. And so, so CatRock versus Tier. Gentlemen, what are we feeling in these games? CatRock versus Tier. We'll do our overview, and then we'll go back to our individual. But Ben Yoshi, feels. Give me them feels.
Well, wait, is this? Can I talk about predictions of CatRock Tier T?
Ooh, no, we'll save that for you guys to give your breakdown when we go into it. We'll just give like a gut feeling. We'll do a quick gut feeling.
Okay. A gut feeling with no prediction.
Just like how I think it's gonna like play out. I think CatRock's gonna build Ravens, and I think Tier T is gonna get hit by the auto turret.
This is a replay of the last season too. So
CatRock's the champion, right? He's coming in as a champion.
Yeah, he's coming in
last season.
Yeah, he's coming in as the main champion.
Kind of dominant at the end of the season.
Yeah,
very mechy, very Thor-y. It was, I think, the Thors that were hard to deal with. Yeah.
And we won't go into too much because I'm gonna make sure you guys have material to talk as we try to give as much as possible. But the one thing to keep in match that all these bots have been updated. Well, not all these bots, but they had the opportunity to be updated. Whether or not they took that opportunity is on that bot author, but we could actually see a different type of, Eris or a different type of CatRock from the weeks past. One thing to also keep in mind, since you're here and obviously buy a computer or buy your phone, make sure you hit that like button. I don't know what you're doing. I see those likes. I see the ratio of who's here and how many of you like it. I mean, the bare minimum is you can hit the like button. I mean,
it doesn't cost anything.
It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't, not even a dime.
It keeps the lights on at Drekken's house. So please,
it doesn't
hit subscribe.
That's it. I don't even think your lights are on right now.
Well, not enough people are liking.
That's it. It's when you compare. There's basically in the world there are two types of entertainment. You can either watch this and like it for free, or you can go to a Taylor Swift concert, which is thousands upon thousands of dollars.
I mean,
given that those are the only two options that you have, then I think this is the way to go.
And also, of course, if you want to get notified for more of what we're doing here and more of ProBots, you obviously hit that subscribe button, the bell button, all those good jazzes. And if you really like what we're doing and you really want to partake in some of the extracurricular bot coding stuff that we're doing on the side, or not really on the side, because every Monday I'm here coding for your pleasure, hit !join in the chat, or go to ProBotsAI.com. and you can become a member and you can join me in our mob programming every Monday where we work together on a project to put on the ladder for the community. And then also we have our post bots, which is at the end of the month. We get like a demo day and people get to show what they're working on, and you get a chance to show what you're working on if you're working on a bot, or at least learn from other people. Good chance. So it's that's a lot of fun.
Some people show and some people look.
Yeah, well,
it's how this works.
You have to have both. If no one's looking, you can't show anything.
Showing. Sometimes people show things and they tell about them, and then other people look and they listen.
Yeah. Well,
I'm a looker and listener personally.
Right now, we gotta be talkers. We're kind of showers.
We're kind of showers.
Somebody's gonna show something, and we're gonna tell about it.
Yeah. We're the tell and look. I'm a look and tell kind of guy.
Yes, exactly. We relay.
Well,
we're descriptive audio, literally.
All right. Well, I'll parlay to you guys to take the rest of the show for these next coming matches. Okay. Production,
get me out of here.
Get rid of it.
Get him out of here.
All right. So now we can talk about really. So we already kind of said what's probably gonna be built, but we're gonna have CatRock versus Tier. We got a TVT. These two did face off, and I think I remember Tier being very Thory and CatRock being Raveny, and then the Ravens being really scared of Thors, and then having this weird turret Thor.
I feel like they were both afraid of each other, right?
Yeah.
Because the Thors, especially if it's going through any sort of choke, they get so backed up. It's almost like watching Archons try to fight, where you get 10 Archons, 2 of those Archons are hitting at a time. Most of them are getting stuck behind the other ones, trying to get around. And so I feel like especially when the bots don't have the common sense of moving without attacking for a little bit, so that you can attack.
Yeah.
That I think so. I think the terrain will be very. It'll be a big impact on how these fights go with the Thors versus Ravens. Ooh.
Very true.
New stats page.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you haven't seen these yet.
No.
So we got them, and it goes to this thing where we go through. I think this is a SWOT analysis.
Strategy or it's strength, weakness, but I know what you mean.
It's that, but we call it something else. But strategy, basically, it's a safe, macro-oriented, full of Raven bot. Is CatRock, and it's a very, very patient bot that kind of wins in the long run. Occasionally, CatRock has done some stuff like early contains and things like that, but it's mostly the later game play and the being really patient. Weakness, weak to aggression, although it's got pretty good defense early on. Planetary Fortress usually, things like that, and weak to Eris.
I'm excited that Eris is specifically mentioned because last season Eris was not here. They had a different bot enter, and so I'm very excited to see if this all shakes out and Eris and CatRock get to go against each other.
Very true.
Very
and code it from scratch. So I think was the first. It's a Java bot, right? I think it was the first Java bot we had at the time. And now I think there's a few others, but I think CatRock was first, or at least the first in our tournament. That can often change how some of the behaviors work. But I know often then leads to extra problems when you're trying to resolve.
I can't imagine, doing it from scratch. There's so many different problems and solutions and things that have been built that it just seems crazy to build from scratch, but super impressive, and it very clearly plays very differently than a lot of the other bots, and so that's a pretty big advantage.
Nice. Okay, I like this. Additionally, if I get time, this season's focus will try to include drop harass and anti-human strategies for the human bots that we do at the end of the year. That's good. A few authors, it's harder to code, so it's a whole other challenge that to code. When these bots play, they don't play in real time. They're playing at about 16 times speed. They're just playing basically as fast as your computer can go. When they're playing against a human, it actually slows it down a lot. So there's a lot of the processes that they have that they don't need to put a timer on when it's the real time speed game. But now they have to be instead of checking every frame, check every 4 frames or whatever to go to human time. So it's cool if he's working on that. Tier here can play various strategies, has a variety, aims to pick whatever wins against a specific opponent. Tier has always been a very counter puncher bot. Tier P, the Protoss version, has won a lot by doing that sort of exploitive type of play.
Okay, I know I saw Tier at least a little bit last season, but and you said the Thors were a big part of their game plan.
Yeah, so weaknesses, long tier generates more generic macro builds, do fairly well against most cheeses, but there may be a few that they will fail to. Opponent specific builds try to cover those weaknesses, except so yeah, this is often his approach on things. If there's a general weakness, then he tries to code it more specifically, like to counter that particular bot, as opposed to taking a more generic build. So yeah, there are definitely like very specific counter programming to some bots that we've seen in the past. So do expect to see some of that. Special has, yeah, build system and a task management system for assigning tasks to units. And they have their own server to run test games on. Tier used to be a single author thing. It's now part of a team. So yeah, that's a couple of them doing it. And so far, Tier's played almost 500 games on their own server, and expect more. They've probably played more by now.
Yeah, especially with when you can play it at 16 times the speed and it's a bot, you can just really let it go wild.
Exactly. Yeah, tests a lot out. Tier has 100,001 lines of source code. Tier does 176 builds, 53 of which are for Terran. Yeah, so this is the thing too. Tier is always coded all three and can play as a random bot, but then for the tournament tends to select a race and play. Yeah, well, 6 years old now. I think Tier was in either, I forget if it was in the very first, but it was first or second, and was one of the earlier champions we had, one of the earliest multi-time champions that we had.
Oh, I love these too.
Yeah.
Little baby map fly-throughs. That's sick.
Exactly. They're pretty high production value, right, folks?
Yeah.
Hit that like button.
Guys, Taylor Swift does not have this kind of content.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, we're going Crestfall. I did see CatRock, no map bans. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Or no vetoes, sorry. In Super Smash Brothers Melee, we call them the bans.
Yeah.
But vetoes. Yeah, CatRock having no vetoes is kind of crazy. I feel like especially as like a big Raven lover and like the Sky units, I feel like can really take advantage of certain maps, and therefore I would think that you could veto maps that you can't take as much advantage of and kind of like push that kind of more into your favor with just really annoying dead air zones or just really rough terrain for like ground units to try to chase. But I guess maybe just confident.
Maybe, because I was going to say, I also think, didn't CatRock break on one map last season? Equilibrium, I think, the way it would be weird not to ban that, if he was on one side of the map, then it didn't work. So maybe he fixed that and he's like, well, we got to try them all. So
I guess before Grand's trying to play as many as you can to see what the problems are and not kind of hold off on that until it is a larger best of series where you may have to play more maps.
Yeah, indeed. So I expect these to potentially be a little long unless Tier gets cheesy. So let's just jump right into it.
CatRock. Tier.
All right, we got an early SCV coming across the map for Tier.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to just scout with this or attempt some sort of proxy. Proxy certainly has been popular for a lot of the Terran bots. But it looks like he's just making a beeline for the base. Check out what CatRock is up to.
Yeah, and he does start that barracks at home as well. No really big like walling or anything done by Tier. For their side, looks like CatRock's going to go for that Reaper wall, which definitely can be helpful if Tier ends up going Reapers. I feel like sometimes they just kind of skip Reapers all entirely though, and just kind of get into like the Marine, like Cyclone production.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, CatRock. Yeah, going for the keep out tier. Not even, walling his side off. He'll go down and, command center. And I expect, bunker up front for safety on CatRock's side. And into a factory towards the back of the base. So, don't know if this is intended to be a tiny bit hidden from a scout or a Reaper or something.
Yeah, it's kind of rough because like if you do want to kind of switch on add-ons, it becomes very very wasteful to build it so far away from the barracks. But if you're trying to hide information, I mean that's pretty awesome, especially if you're trying to keep out like the Reaper has to go up that wall, so it's gonna be pushed back, and then having a Marine or two with the bunker and the natural, you really do hold everything out.
Yeah, that feels like the design for this. So there's the starport going in the back too. So this may be the switch add-ons. As he's making a tech lab on the factory, could switch this out for quicker banshees, which is certainly a thing that CatRock does as well.
Ravens need a tech lab too, right?
Yeah.
We know eventually it'll be Ravens, but I think the cloaked banshees is a pretty common opener. I feel like a lot of these Terran bots, honestly. I feel like whoever CatRock was playing against I think it was BenBotBC, that maybe they were both like almost one of them was always starting banshees first.
It's kind of one of those things, particularly, so we end up seeing in this tournament like the best bots basically playing, but there's a ladder of more than 50 of them, so a lot of them will simply die to basic things like still can't handle cloaked units, can't handle flying units, like things like that. So there's a lot of things that are not necessarily meant to win in the higher matchups, but will just 100% beat someone that hasn't particularly got a defense for it.
It's you got to do your chump checks. You got to make sure
exactly.
that they are able to defend against just like really annoying. I mean, banshees are great if you're talking about chump checks, like the amount of check marks you get to check off by like using a Raven of like, all right, can you deal with air units? Can you deal with harass? Can you deal with detection? And, like this, it forces a lot out of your opponent, and it doesn't cost too much. I mean, Ravens are a little bit, with the tech lab and with the starport production time, a little bit of a commitment. But if you win a game off it, then it feels pretty easy. Early on, you can definitely net you some quick and easy wins.
Sure. And it does take time to develop that stuff. We showed in the preview, Tier has over 101,000 lines of code. The smallest bot in our tournament, I think it was 430. Not thousand, just wild. 430. So it's that sort of difference that like you see that from the new bots, that you have to deal with this condition and this condition and this condition. And the easiest thing to do when you're starting, is to not do that stuff. Focus on making your bot operational and do something. But then you're going to run into very specific cases. And what do I have to deal with?
And there's the idea, like, you can try to be defensive against everything, but it's going to be easier to be offensively good at one thing rather than be defensively sound and against everything. And so kind of having keeping the tempo kind of on your side and being the one that throws the first harassment out, kind of like is choosing the first parts of the tech tree that is requiring your opponent to actually respond to you, kind of has an advantage in and of itself. That's different than defender's advantage, but you get to kind of choose how the pacing goes if you're a bot that's a little more aggressive in that kind of unit production, tech production.
Now here a Banshee comes in. There is a Viking in place. The scan goes down as the cloak starts, but the Banshee does wiggle away behind that. And second scan.
That's gonna make it out.
My Thor.
But I thought that it was invisible again.
All
right, 2 kills, 100 minerals, nothing too crazy. But it also was 2 scans, which is, I think a mule's like 200 something minerals or something. So I mean,
there's a cost to it. The other thing, and this is a good thing to point out for stuff like cloaked units, you could see the scan there directly on where the Banshee is. So if a human player is going to do it, you would tend to lead it so that it has to fly through it. But that's very hard for these bots to handle that sort of thinking of where do I put it where it's going to be stuck, or it has to fly through a longer path. So directly on top of it.
And that can sometimes even come into play when you know, like the Viking is chasing the Banshee, like Viking Raven, and they only fly straight. You know, I think we were talking how amazing CatRock's AI was by actually doing the cutoff line and not just following behind and infinitely being the same distance behind them. But yeah, it's rough when basically the bot's only working on what it sees and not any assumed kind of patterns or anything like that, which is something very easily taken for granted, as you know. We can see patterns so easily as humans, but it's hard when you don't have
exactly. I mean, you're always taught, the Canadian here, you pass the puck to where they're going to be, not to where they are.
There you go.
And it's this sort of thing. So if it could calculate kind of the direction and time to cut off, then that's obviously what you like to do, or play literally a zone. So to know, and this is another big thing that I think is hard for bots to understand exactly, is the idea of like, okay, the Banshee's trying to get in, I'm trying to defend this area instead of just going at it. So how do I cut it off so that it can't get to the mineral line like it is now?
Yeah, you don't need to chase it till it dies. You need to make sure it can't get into a mineral line.
Yeah.
And if they're always outside the mineral line, then 6 Banshees doesn't really matter.
Exactly.
But yeah, if you go on a goose chase, then it can... I mean, it's like playing against Blink Stalkers, when you have like the bigger, badder army, but you always just want to chase. And it's like, well, you'll never catch up. And if you like aren't attacking something, then you're just not gaining any value from this big army. Now, Tyr does have a large army that looks like it could just walk across the map and take out CatRock. We have to see if there is just one big fight, or if CatRock tries to kind of pull these Thors apart. Already there's kind of some kind of breaking away with like 2 Thors being separated from the other 2, which is not great. Those 2 Thors are still going deep.
And now clumping up here weirdly at the bottom in a big pile and just kind of getting hammered. The
observer's being stretched.
Exactly. You want to keep our eye on both things. This little group, supported by a medevac that I think is maybe there more for pickups. Obviously, it can't heal the Thors.
Yeah, it's an interesting pairing.
But can take the damaged ones and maybe fly back or something. 2 Thors just fully taking down the CC that wasn't, repaired. Is definitely good damage.
Yeah,
there's still this group.
Yeah, I was gonna say main army. Well, what is left of it, is still kind of just in the middle of the map, dealing with the other 2 Thors. But Tyr can get a lot of damage done with that little hit squad.
Yeah, unless something like jumps on now, SCVs are coming to support and do repairs on these. So you're going to need a lot of DPS to take them down. I don't know if CatRock's army appreciates that there's not detection on Tyr's side there. But there would be shortly. Yeah. Basically, I think those Banshees could have cloaked and kind of jumped on. There was a turret under construction. It's done now, but it wasn't there before.
Yeah, I mean, these Banshees are only going to really get worse, I feel like, over time. With any kind of detection or scan, these Thors will just eat those up. With their AoE and extra damage against light.
And so maybe they're anticipating, well, if I jump in and they scan, then I die too quick, so I can't go in even if I'm not detected right now. So here breaking up into the main, that upgrade at least does finish, but kind of clearing a path through, but the bases are being rebuilt behind them. And CatRock it's still a reasonably good worker count, but it's just going to be what's going to come together to actually take these out.
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of what we were talking about with like the Blink Stalkers and stuff. Like if CatRock could take those Banshees and just go to the other side of the map, ignore what they can of Tyr's units and just try to get like worker damage. CatRock does have these, outside bases that seem like they're not going to be touched for at least for a while. But keeping all of his army on his own side means that Tyr is going completely uninhibited on his side. I think it's just going to keep adding damage. I don't think like these Banshees can ever actually jump on this, especially with the reinforcement of Thors.
Yeah, more coming in now. One of those was getting low, and if it dropped to 1, maybe they would jump on it. But now we're back up to 5 in the front line with a couple tanks, a 6th one joining in, and even at least a few SCVs there doing active repair.
Yeah, this is looking brutal. Because now, even if CatRock has the outlining bases, Tier's going to get on the wall of depots, all of the production. And there's just not much hope. Not much to do against, 6, 7 Thors and 2 tanks.
Yeah, so it will be a slow tear down here. I think it's going to take them a while to go around and like mop up the bases. And there's still like this mobile CatRock, like pretty strong force, like a 47 army supply, that can't jump on this, but it's just kind of out there at the same time. Looks like he's attacking the 4th base of Tier at the moment, but there is at least 1 turret there to support.
Yeah, and it looks like it's running away now. And
yeah.
I was gonna say, if 1 Thor is there, I mean, it's just it's so hard to jump on it with light units that clump up. Just
there
too many Thors.
You can see there, like the moment you get caught in a scan, that's almost an instant death when the Thors turn around.
Yeah, it's just a fight that you can't take on head on. You almost have to have tanks already set up and then just hit squads, hitting Tier where they're not looking, or trying to make them pull back those Thors. Taking advantage of, obviously Terran doesn't have any kind of recall or anything, so you want to scare them enough that they feel like they need to pull their units back, or out DPS them or something like that. But CatRock just staying right outside of Thor range, but close enough that they want to fight, is just going to be brutal slow death.
Indeed, he almost had, like you said, tanks set up like halfway across the map. There was the path that they split. The 2 Thors went to the left, and the rest of them got trapped at the bottom of a ramp, and did actually take a pretty good shelling from a couple tanks up top. But the 2 that kind of broke through, there was just nothing behind the enemy lines to do anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, almost
once they got there,
accidentally, those 2 just kind of avoided that position. And it was the Thors trying to fight up into high ground, and then CatRock actually did have a pretty strong air lead, where their Vikings were kind of dominant in the air. So going uphill, or even just obviously tanks shoot further than they can see, so having the air support superiority is a huge deal when you have a nice tank line. But it was a little bit too in the middle of the map, where you weren't really, kind of like the zoning thing you were talking about. You weren't zoning anything out. CatRock was trying to move across to actually attack Tier, and then kind of got caught with their pants down and had to make do with what they had. But if they had a good tank line, they had that initial bunker, so it kind of looked like they would maybe play defense. I think this could have been a pretty, not easy hold, but tanks playing defensive and then sending a few cloaked banshees to be annoying, I think would have done wonders.
Yeah, I think so as well. It looked like it was something that, very often when that happens, it's like something dragged it in that direction. And I think in this case, it was like a cyclone that locked onto a Thor and then pulled them over to the left. And then the main group went to the right. And then they chased it just into victory, basically.
Yeah. Tripped their way over the finish line.
Yeah. And that's a fairly common thing in the bot world, that like they weren't going to do this, but then they chased a unit into a base that they didn't know existed, or in the direction that turned out to be the exact right way to go.
Yeah, well, I always think of the SharkBot's probe pulls, where like if you accidentally have like a probe scouting, the 8 probes will just chase that 1 probe scouting and will like single-handedly destroy that build if you just happen to have like a unit where they will chase it. So I feel like I'm used to seeing that as the chasing the unit is like the bad thing, but it definitely works out sometimes where chasing the unit happens to give you like the best pathing that you could have chosen. I think this is the very last building. I'm a fool. There's a refinery right there.
A refinery there.
I think this is the very last building.
Bam. Sure is. So yeah, I think a little shorter than I would have expected, given that Tyr was pretty aggressive pretty early. He was going to go with kind of 3 Thors, I guess, which is not like super early, but you know, 6-7 minutes into the game moves out, and this is one that can easily go into like the 30-40 minute mark if they both get really established.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there's the breakthrough of the Thors, and actually that cyclone that came down, I think that's the one they were chasing.
That brought him to the left
Yeah,
around the
yeah,
tanks and stuff.
I think so.
Yeah, no, that pathing really did do wonders for those Thors, because especially if they split off and then try to reconvene, and it was just like basically the same thing happening just like 1 minute later with another 2 Thors showing up, and it's the same tank setup, you know. Obviously they just get cleared up, but having those 2 Thors break away from it and then solo the CC at the third, and then then it just kind of starts compounding and really getting away from CatRock. So maybe we'll see the champion of last season go into at least the losers match. I have to imagine if they lose here, they at least win in their losers match.
Yeah, I would think so. I forget who's down there in Group A at the moment, but yeah, both of these are very strong. So it's quite possible both get through, but who gets the basically better seeding on the way out and the honors, the accolades.
The bot in losers is called 12 pool bot,
right?
Which I feel like a 12 pool is just scary in general. Like I feel like a lot of these bots, the weaknesses that they list are always like early game's pretty rough if like they're aggressive.
Yeah.
It's like so many of these bots.
That's the one I think I was referencing, that is 400 lines of code.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but weirdly, it's called 12 pool bot, and it seems to 12 pool its first game, but if it loses, it switches into a 14-14 roach rush.
Interesting. Okay.
And it's I think it's won at least one game with that, or it's like, it looks scary. At least.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Well, he must have, because he advanced on. So yeah,
he did beat T-Bone.
Yeah, yeah.
So, whatever that tells you.
Indeed. So I think we are ready for match 2 on hard lead
We're
or
gonna
hard
see
lead.
if Tier T can get a hard lead right here.
Exactly.
CatRock. Tier.
All right, Tier's SCV coming down. Probably just another scout. Nothing crazy. We got CatRock doing the, I think, Reaper Wall again. Yep. So looking pretty identical to game 1 so far.
Yeah. Yeah, I expect Tier probably will end up doing the same stuff, whether CatRock will vary it up at all. Like he doesn't usually go for what we saw there, like the hidden, like the hidden Banshee and all that
barracks?
Stuff. Maybe.
That seems like a very late barracks, is it not?
It feels a bit.
And with an engineer.
That's a very engineering very quick. Okay, I guess because he's walling with this, so this strikes me that as planetary first. Not first, but yeah, early.
Interesting. I'm just so curious. Yeah. Because the last game, CatRock's barracks, not like super crazy faster than Tier's, but it had a faster pace, and CatRock immediately got those Marines out so that he could kind of tech up pretty heavy and just have that first barracks only building Marines and then getting into that factory in Starport. But the engineering bay is just such a interesting middle building that doesn't seem necessary unless you're doing a +1 timing or
maybe something like that, because he's not making the CC, he is making a factory. So yeah, that is a little odd.
Yeah, 300.
So yeah, there's got to be a plan with it. It's not going to be random, but we'll see what it is.
All right, and Tier also, I feel like last game at least, Tier had his natural coming down by this point. So both bots kind of getting into a 1-1-1 kind of one basey. Okay, CatRock is expanding now on the low ground. But still definitely a slower expand.
Yeah. Yeah, the engineering base still a little unusual. Like, what's that for, given that he hasn't started an upgrade or anything?
And the amount of gas that he's
Yeah.
pulled up is just seems so significant. Oh, this Reaper's
Super
okay.
aggro.
I almost liked I almost liked that micro because it was like it's such the opposite of what the problem usually is.
Yeah, I think if he brought both of them,
yeah,
he had two Reapers, he could have just bam, 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 overwhelmed them.
Yeah, like halfway through, you're like, is this good?
Yeah.
Is that what you want to be doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I almost like it. Oh!
Bam! Aggro mode once again.
As
Nice.
long as the SCVs aren't aggroed,
Yeah.
that Reaper's very, very nice. And there's no Marine on the way, right, from CatRock, so this
Yeah.
Reaper's gonna be really freaking annoying.
That's quite bad. If why did he stop being aggro though? Jump on.
Get on some of these weak hit.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't want to get into the middle line because he gets caught, but he's repaired his health now. At first, he was only a hit or two away.
And he's hitting a refinery now. You gotta get at least closer than that.
Yeah.
But CatRock still is not building an army unit. They're going into more starports, and they're getting the planetary fortress on the low ground, like you said. But this Reaper's, I mean, I wish it was doing more because honestly, it could have 7 kills, 12 kills at this point.
You can see too, CatRock keeps transferring workers to that refinery, but they don't go. You can see like the number goes up.
They like try,
but nobody goes there. This one is. Let's see if he takes some shots. It's again something could pull this Reaper forward, like that. And then once he gets close, he might then go after the rest. But
one grenade, can you just imagine?
Yeah.
It would literally get like 6
Boom.
kills.
Yeah, it might as well be a Widow Mine.
Dude, CatRock is getting a medevac. He has no ground units. He has nothing underneath the medevac.
I wonder if something just kind of broke in this. The medevac helps the SUVs.
The engineering bay looked like a break.
Yeah.
Because the barracks should have been down. Like there was no reason to delay it at the beginning.
Yeah. Something feels weird. There's a cyclone finally coming out. It almost feels though like they're both a tiny bit like the Reaper, as aggressive and mobile as it was, is just kind of sitting there now.
Yeah, like turned off, kind of.
Yeah. It's like a bystander.
And now it's baiting by damaging depots and then hitting the SCVs that are like, the Reaper, micro does look a little bit broken, but CatRock looks just straight up screwed. Like, it's gonna be one Cyclone versus like 2 Thors, 3 Thors or something.
Yeah. At least clears that out. How many SCVs died in that? Like, it could have been way worse, but only lost 3. Like, he did enough damage to kill like 20 of them. Yeah.
Well, and like the mining time was also annoying. Like, 3 patches and probably that refinery weren't touched for probably like 3 minutes. I mean, the Reaper was
while.
The first Reaper that came out. So
A while. Here comes our first Thor. Accompanied by 2 tanks, bunch of Marines. Good mix here in terms of what Tier's got. And if it's like the previous game, he's got 2 more Thors being built. When they're done, if he moves across, then I don't know that CatRock has a lot to stop him.
It's going to be like 3, maybe 5 Banshees and like 2 Cyclones and a tank. Which, I think is just going to get... Well, okay, the only saving grace is the planetary fortress.
Yeah, the planetary. Yeah, planetary helps.
If you kind of don't attack correctly and kind of like attack and then retreat and then attack and retreat against some Ravens and some, baloney, maybe the planetary fortress gets enough shots off that it's holdable. But yeah, CatRock was not building army units for a good chunk of that early game. And now the comp is just going to be a very weird hodgepodge of mostly Banshees and then like a few other mech units and like 3 medevacs that heal nothing.
Indeed. It's a lot of starports, of course.
I just don't
And-
understand the medevacs. Unless it's literally that the SCVs were hurt, and so like they wanted to heal the
Maybe.
SCVs, but
Yeah.
you have tanks, cyclones, and banshees.
Yeah.
I think that's literally it. It's like you can pick up a cyclone.
The rotor just starting. But yeah, the Banshee's pretty well covered by both the Raven, the turret, and single Viking chasing. But Thor's getting harassed, at least on their side. Yeah, very nice shot. I was gonna say medevac may be there just to like kind of keep that buffer Marines alive on Tyr's side, which makes some sense.
Why do you have your tank here? Yeah, this is Tyr can just A move, and I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's got a pretty big army with 5 Thors. Again, other things for buffer room detection, things like that. Even last time, his main Thor force didn't really even have a Raven with it. It just, there was always the threat of the scan, and if you tried to jump on and get scanned on, you would instantly evaporate in the air with all the Banshees.
Yeah. I mean, Banshee Thor is just like one of the worst matchups you could possibly play into.
Yeah, it's just the rock paper.
Yeah, you just
and
the rock has AoE,
version.
so it's like even worse. It's like already
it's
does bonus.
Just a handful of rocks.
It's brutal. The repair is nice, and like we said, if this attack goes super poorly, there's a shot. But I think that first tank was going to be huge. If there's like a tank or two here also shelling these Thors, maybe you take some down.
The tanks are kind of firing down at the SCVs on the bottom, and the Thors are going after individual SCVs, which will eventually win, but they could have just overpowered this to begin with.
Yeah, they got like close, and then they decided not to do it. I mean, it is always an annoying, like, when you're trying to kill like a bunker with units in it, and you're trying to determine how much that repair is really putting in. You can have some pretty bad looking fights trying to just right click on the actual building and not being like, okay, I will shift click some workers. I'll whittle those down before I try to take down the behemoth of this building.
Second few Thors working on that lower one. If these guys just take a step forward, they're going to be in range of those Banshees, and they could all die in one volley. Because I don't know where else the Banshees would retreat to at this point. But they're not. They're just going to chill on the ramp for a bit.
Yeah, once a few starports are gone, these Thors will really be in there.
They'll come up. They'll come up.
And no matter how long it takes, CatRock is just in a terrible spot. The beginning of the game definitely kind of it started off on a sour note, and then with Thors and with like CatRock's kind of default being a very Banshee heavy style.
Yeah,
that's just such a rough snowball to start rolling. For Tyr to get the first Thor and then CatRock not to have any of that real tank or big defense, it gets so bad so fast.
Loses one Thor down here, but there's enough SCVs dead that he will take that out as well. And now it's again just a cleanup job. The Banshee's kind of retreating back further. The Thors kind of, again, they don't seem to care that those are there.
Yeah.
And just kind of going through methodically.
Yeah, I mean, they can just stay. I mean, it's got to be A moved. But I almost feel like the AI would almost be triggered with how close the the Banshees are just outside of that triggering range where you can kind of get leashed, and even if you're not actually attacking them, your units can try to want to attack them.
Yeah.
They got to be just outside of that range.
Yeah. And now they're behind them. It's funny that Tyr isn't really adding on a lot of army very fast. Like, it's trickling in, but you would expect him at this point to be like 200 or something.
Yeah, or like, I mean,
not really.
If this was CatRock, they would have every base and probably some Veer bases by this time. Like if they were this dominant, then they would just super expand, have all the upgrades go in. But Tyr just kind of slowly trickles them in. Doesn't try to go too crazy with the economy. And we'll take it. Last refinery. Oh!
Yeah. Got it.
Huge.
Whoa.
All right, our champion of last season gets taken out 2-0.
Mhm. Yep.
Kind of crazy. Kind of make me feel like a silly goose.
Yeah, I think Tears made some adjustments there to like. I think the whole thing is just go earlier. Maybe
Yeah.
like it's instead of waiting for a later game Thor, just kind of push it. And then I think CatRock went a little less economic. It's not like made to, particularly in this game. I don't know if something happened there, but again, the Angie, the later CC, like everything just felt late. So that's a little odd. But then in the first game, going for like kind of the hidden cloak banshee, not usually like going cloak banshee, yes, but going for like really fast cloak banshee, not so much.
And like
CatRock
6
style.
or 8 of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like also the so you mentioned like CatRock or Tier moving out on the map kind of early. But I think also a huge success CatRock was being a little way too.
Yeah.
Was being just too aggressive. Because his first tank was always caught in the middle of the map.
Mhm.
Like that first tank siege was like always outside of Tier's base, and when Tier's Thors were starting to move out, and it was just like in the worst, especially when you have 2 planetary fortresses at home. It seems like you'd be playing more of the defensive style, but it's still like the only ground units that CatRock had were killed in the middle of the map. You know, it's almost like a I'm always really bad about it, but when you're playing like Valorant or something and you can see where you died, and it's like, well, like why were you pushed up so far? You know, like that. If we're on defense, you shouldn't be dying on their side of the map. Like that is not where you want to be having your engagements. And I feel like CatRock always that first fight was way too close to Tier, and then Tier was able to just stomp all the way through because CatRock had no defenses at home.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's it. It's hard. I think I've often mentioned there's certain types of units that are just stable, and the Thor is one of those. The battle cruiser is one of those, where you need to have an overwhelming force to take them out because they don't. There's not attrition to them like there is with Marines or other things.
Yeah.
So once they get past either a front line, like you're saying, or like you have to focus on them, concentrate on them, and target them down. You can't just, they won't just die on their own. And then the fact that they can be repaired, the fact that they can like be a stable point that the rest of your things clump around is really good at moving the line forward. Whereas when you've got a bunch of soft things, actually making that forward progress is hard.
Yeah. It's like the Thor is the exact opposite of what the Cyclone is meant to deal with.
Yeah.
You know, like the Cyclone's like great for poking these squishy units.
Yeah.
You can hit them a few times, you can run away. It's like Thor's just like do not care about that. And if your hit squad is 3 Cyclones and a tank, that's just not going to do that instant kill kind of damage that you really need to when fighting against a Thor or like a BC type unit.
Yeah, very true. So there we have match number 1, Tier advancing on to match number 2 of the night. This one will be pretty interesting too. Zena, our random bot, against another pretty stable Terran, BenBotBC. BenBot can do a lot of interesting things like opening with like bunker contains and stuff like that. And the Zena has definitely a lot of cheeses up her sleeve with whenever you're random, you got to expect cheese.
Yeah.
It's the law.
Random is the best best race to cheese.
Yeah, it is.
They just have no idea what's going to come.
Yeah.
I feel like it's almost stronger against humans because we have more fear of like what kind of cheese is about to come. But yeah, I mean, I think it's always going to be scary, and the strategy is aggression. So we are going to see some early stuff. BenBot, I feel like, is hit or miss whether they're going to be aggressive or basically if their first bunker is going to be at home or it's going to be outside of their opponent's natural. I feel like is the kind of coin flip. I feel like if they do it at home, it could be a big problem for Zena because I do remember BenBot's bunkers coming up pretty quick. But if BenBot's aggressive, you definitely could see Zena get lucky with, building 12 lings and then happen to pass along a bunker that they can kill real quick and, a proxy racks or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. And Zena here, the stated weakness being late game is kind of where BenBot by default is trying to go almost all the time. special advanced resource management system, making it easy to create builds, which is great because Zena has to have a lot of them that are pretty flexible.
Yep.
So yeah, makes sense there. And the additional is going to be something extra. Is a warrior princess.
I'm gonna guess that he's not. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So
Well,
it's built
also
from
built from
scratch.
scratch.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Zena definitely expecting a lot of aggression, and yeah, does not want to go to that late game. Does not want to play against 10 BC BenBot. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see if BenBot can get into the late game.
Indeed, tends to survive more now. Like it's survival bot. BenBot is survival bot. The bot's main focus is to eventually build a lot of battle cruisers. But yeah, more and more I finds that he wins without having to do such a thing. So sometimes the bunker rush just wins, and yeah, weakness to Mass Tempest and Thors. You're not going to see those out of
Yeah.
Zena, so we're okay there. So yeah, use the bunker for defense
Yeah.
and the logic around it to determine when to stay inside. So yeah, like pretty good. Yeah, so mention the bunker rushing here, and also the defensive ones when he's bunkering at home. It's usually like with Widow Mines, with a turret, with a tank. Like it's a pretty well-rounded defensive
I
position.
do remember the Widow Mines, yeah,
Yeah,
behind
yeah.
the supply depots, and especially with like Ling rushes or even like big zealot plays, a couple Widow Mines can do wonders.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that it says the bunkers, which I was pretty sure it was BenBot that I was thinking of, but that definitely confirms it, where it's like a bunker is definitely gonna be put down early in the game. It just depends where it is. That's gonna determine a lot of how BenBot's playing around it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so BenBot has vetoed a couple maps, Gresvin and Hard Lead, or Hard Lead, but probably Lead. makes more sense. Zena's the one, so mentioned that I think is the only bot that we have coded in Haskell, which I had never heard of until Zena, but is one of the bots that's coded from scratch in that. And I still think of Zena as a new bot, but yeah, it's been 5 appearances now. So definitely a lot of improvement there over time. Let's take a look at our cool map animations.
Oh,
Yeah. Oceanborn.
so cool.
Yeah. Very, very sweet. I think very base trade TV inspired.
Oh, yeah,
these
yeah.
are, yeah. They used to have like the nice music video intros, like Catalina with like a dancing octopus and stuff.
I remember the one with the cowboys.
Yeah.
The cowboys in the sky. Ah!
Exactly. So Oceanborn is up first. That's always a fun one. Site Delta, pretty decent, and Golden Aura. So yeah, I think pretty. It's hard to know because these random. I don't know what the map preference is going to be.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, it's hard to call those going in. So we will just join the game and see what race Zena is going to be and what cheese will accompany that race.
Zena. BenBotBC.
Is the first one with an SCV out, but I think it is just scouting probably to see what race he's up against, and it is going to be another TVT.
Gotta love it.
Yep. But Zena not doing anything too crazy right now, building at home.
Yeah. Getting a little scouting in, but it does look like a scouting pattern and not really a proxy pattern.
Yeah.
Little disappointing. I wanted to see, proxy
Yeah.
3 Rex or something crazy.
Something fun. I'm sure there's still like a timing to this or something like that. But yeah, not going to be a wild proxy or anything too nuts. But I don't know if I would expect Zena to go above 2 bases.
Yeah. Still not trying to get into like a real game.
Yeah.
May just get like a factory, maybe a starport, a little bit more tech than just barracks.
Exactly. BenBot there starting that first bunker down in front of the natural. Tends to do it in... This is a pretty standard position on this map. BenBot is known to put bunkers in almost like weird baity locations where it's not really defending the base, it's more in the middle. This one just naturally, I think that's where it is anyway. But yeah, usually very well known for the well-constructed defensive position.
Yeah, a
And
bunker
Zena
and
won't
some
spend.
widow mines can definitely hold on against a lot.
Sure.
No one's going for
Sure.
the Reaper. Just some safety Marines staying at home.
Yeah, maybe Zena's turning over a new leaf and we're going to get like a 5-base macro game, but probably not.
Get Thor versus
We'll
BC
see.
or something.
Yeah. Both of them pretty even economically. 21 workers at the moment, 26 supply in total.
Zena actually making
Zena's,
a bunker.
yeah, defensive bunker. Yeah. It's building behind here, so factory behind the mineral line.
And no
Banshees.
tech labs or any kind of add-ons, which I feel like the last couple of games, no one's really wanted to do an add-on on their first barracks.
Yeah.
But I feel like in people TVT, that
Yeah,
first add-on
usually.
is so like you want that add-on. If you're not doing a Reaper, maybe you get a Marine first, but
Yeah.
getting those tech labs, getting those reactors going really is big. So I'll be interested to see what the first add-on is between the two of them. Looks like BenBot's finally getting into their factory. But yeah, fairly slow start and very just Marine heavy to play it very safe for both these bots.
Yeah, indeed. Get the full wall off here with the bunker and depots up front. And Tech Lab, okay, a fusion core, but not coming from BenBot first, coming from Zena first.
Are we gonna get BC
Is
versus
Zena,
BC?
yeah. Is Zena trying to out BC the BC master? Mayhaps.
That is a little bit surprising coming
Yeah.
from the person that hates late game and
Yeah.
loves aggression. And there's the third base from Zena. Are these colors right? Is this?
It does feel a little odd. That has actually, I think, happened in the past that we've got the wrong one. But it's funny. Teching to BCs is a late game decision. Rushing to BCs is not. That is usually a short game, because there's not but both are. So Zena is adding a third base, so this will potentially have legs behind it. And there is a BC underway.
First BC is out on its way.
Yeah.
BenBot also, not rushing into them quite as hard as Zena, but definitely striding into some
Getting
BCs themselves.
Getting there. Yeah. The question will be, like, is there going to be a jump? BenBotBC's old tactic was to rush to the BC and immediately jump to the enemy mineral line. Because BenBot spends so much attention on that frontline bunker, is the mineral line going to be safe if this pops out and Zena just teleports across the map?
Yeah. Well, I feel like, it'll be interesting to see between the decision of teleport in, run away, or run in, teleport away. I do think, personally, run in, teleport away, I enjoy a lot more. But the timing is such a difference maker. So maybe even that first one to teleport in first.
Yeah.
Because, the shock value and the first hit of the BC is going to be the strongest hit that you have.
A big move. Okay, both going for the Yamato cannon now. That's again a staple on BenBot's side. But Zena adding it on too.
Oh, and Zena's just adding it to the army, not even using it for
going
harass.
anywhere. Yeah, given the rush to this, unless there's an intent to go with 3 or something like that, which would make some sense. You either go with 1, a timing should always kind of be either the first one that pops out or the first time that you're double or triple building them. When that wave pops out, you got to go.
Yeah.
And beyond that, it's like, why'd you rush then?
It gets weird,
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe just have the numbers advantage. I mean, an armory's coming out, so it looks like Zena and a fourth base. It looks like
Fourth
Zena
base,
wants to
yeah.
go into upgrades,
Yeah.
into, you know, and I mean, like you said, it definitely could. The 3 BCs could have triggered it going across the map as well, but just the fact that that BC is with the Marines really feels like Zena is trying to get a, you know, death ball, 200 supply. Let's get a massive, you know, hunk of army, and then just a move is what it looks like is brewing right now.
Yeah, for sure.
I am full of poo.
Interesting.
Never mind. They want to attack with 26 supply.
I guess if it works, it works. Here's Hellions though, making the BCs retreat for whatever reason. But there is
the
warp
BCs are
at
in
home.
in Zena's main.
It's the attack here. A lot of workers getting away, so still a worker lead for Zena despite a number of them dying here. Because this was a teleport in, these can get caught.
Yeah, I was gonna say if Zena's 3 destroy these and get repaired out, I mean that's a huge swing of numbers. From 3 to 2 to 3 to 0 is like, I mean, I don't know the math, but it's a big swing.
Yeah, it is quite a bit there. New BC kind of pull away a little early there. Zena is French, apparently.
Oui.
Yeah. And one BC fighting the others. There comes a little bit of help.
And they get a little repair. Yeah, I mean this is that win is ginormous for Zena.
Yeah.
And BenBot's still only on 2 base. Not only did Zena get like a crazy army win, but Zena's been way more greedy than BenBot has.
Yeah, that's the worker counts are similar, but you know there's nowhere to mine. So,
yeah, and the
Zena.
mule count with the number of orbitals, you know, like I think the economy is gonna. I mean, if you look at the actual income, it's already getting kind of crazy out of hand. Zena has about double of the effective mineral income as BenBot does.
Yeah, and we got the 1 Yamato off and the damaged BC going home. You got to be careful though with that when it's just 1. You can end up spending more to repair your own than that you get from that 1 Viking kill.
From trying to poke in there.
Yeah, from trying to that Yamato blast, while it's workers? Good, this is weird. Yeah, something's just broken, I think. I don't know exactly what's happening. The other base is under construction now, and they'll transfer over. I guess that's just their rally point when you're saturated.
Until, they get to...
But it feels like he should have done this earlier.
All right, BenBot's at least expanding now, and sometimes, if Zena doesn't try to end it, if you can get to maxed out, then you're both maxed out. The army advantage only matters when the other person can't get to, that maxed out army. So Zena's taking this a little slower than I would like. Honestly, if you just took all of your BCs and teleported them into BenBot's main, I think that would probably just be game. But you can skirmish as long as you don't lose the BCs.
Yeah.
You do have a better economy, so even trading, like you said, even if you are doing the poor trades with the Vikings, you're still kind of fine as Zena. As long as you're not losing anything, you can waste a lot of minerals repairing, because you do have quite the income comparatively.
Yeah, there's definitely an advantage here, but kind of sitting in this no man's land a little bit hurts.
Those both go down.
Did he get out there? Yeah.
The one that went down.
Yeah.
At least one BC went down. But I mean, it's still not quite enough.
Yeah, the total kills still only the first 2 that BenBot had sent in. The BCs are at risk of getting kited here a fair bit. They're not really firing back into any of this. And then as they get deeper, now you get these. That was a Widowmine lock on. You're getting into the belly of the beast a bit. And so unless you're outnumbering a lot, you really got to get out of here. That one's gonna die.
Yep, that one's dead. Getting some Viking kills.
This one in danger now too.
Size 2.
I don't even think I had the teleport up. That one cleared out. But still, overall supply, economy, everything looking in Zena's favor for the time being. But it's going to be, how does Zena push in here? BenBot is notorious for this, the very defensive, very efficient long-term hold, and then eventually just kind of wins. So if Zena's going to go, it's got to be with something overwhelming, with that said, there's like 9 BCs.
There's 200
that is
army
overwhelming.
supply.
Yeah,
Or 200
yeah,
supply, not army supply.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Zena, yeah, 12 BCs, 25 Marines. Now is the time to do it. And I think BenBot's kind of been on the Viking grind for a little bit now, not even like really going back into BC production. I think you could just, Yamato almost half these Vikings immediately.
Yeah, teleporting some out here. The planetary may hurt just in that it's drawing fire.
Yeah, and the missile. I mean, it's an ugly fight. It definitely is not the best way you can go about this. But I think the numbers are going to be just too much.
Yeah, about triple the army supply at this point, even though some of these are damaged. But yeah, the Viking count, as it kind of goes down, I think once you get the next wave of repaired ships back and Yamato refreshed, but a quick fall there on that BC. This one damaged will escape. Turrets on the other side. I think there's just too much causing Zena to be hesitant to do anything.
Yeah.
But then instead of retreating, it's just tap dancing in the area that it shouldn't be.
Okay, only loses 2, I guess, there, but yeah, I mean, it just Zena's making it so much harder than it needs to be. BenBot obviously also doing a good job having missile turrets up, having planetary fortresses up, being annoying with Viking pokes. But yeah, it just seems like Zena, if all these BCs are together, there's no one spot where they lose. But if they kind of trickle in, if they kind of run away, not together, if they try to fight and then run into some missile turrets, I mean, you can still throw, the BCs away. But that is a lot of them.
Yeah.
There are just a lot.
They're getting kills. Yeah. It's all about the finish now. I think for Zena, like whenever you attack a BC, it has to be for a kill. And with that many, luckily it is. And then once you've got the Vikings kind of retreating or kiting, I think, and again, this may be hard to code in, but I think you get a lot of the Yamato use right at the beginning of a fight. It's kind of the chase down your target that maybe it becomes more effective. Because now they're not shooting you and you can take the time to set the ability off. But getting over top of things now, taking down at least the front bunker. But it's just such a bad angle to push in.
Yeah, well, and it's just defensively well set up. You just have every place that there's a missile turret, there's another one next to it.
Yeah.
So like every place is like a double missile turret, either bunker or planetary fortress to deal with the Marines on the ground as well. So I mean, yeah, BenBot's doing all that they can to make this really annoying, and it does look very annoying. These BCs are getting just chipped everywhere they go.
Yeah, another one falls there to the Yamato. The Marines beneath it, like that planetary is super helpful because if they could just make a run through the mineral line and clear up these side bases, but the planetary is preventing that. Now
or get under the Vikings. Like the one tank, the 2 planetary fortresses, like they just do just enough to those Marines that you can't, because BenBot has like 1 or 2 BCs, but they're mostly trying to fight with Vikings against Zena's BCs. So yeah, like keeping the Marines back at all is doing wonders. Blue Flame Hellions, if they hit the right SCV, might get a nice jackpot, but
yeah, we haven't really looked at these much, but they've been over here. Like, there's been random ones making it across the map and just attacking random places. But yeah, not devastating.
Yeah.
And I think Zena's exactly at the worker count that she wants.
Yeah. And finally, they are taking one more base. For a minute there, they were just staying on those original like 5 bases, and with BenBot like slowly expanding, I thought eventually if some minerals get mined out and stuff, like it could be kind of eventually looking scary. But Zena is going to keep up with expanding, and I don't think it's going to be in any kind of trouble for a while. I don't know if they'll be able to end it for a minute, but I think they're going to be ahead for the next 10 minutes and eventually we'll win.
Yeah, it's going to be BenBot that has to worry about that pretty soon, as the main and natural are pretty much mined out. You can still see that pretty aggressive income lead, particularly in minerals.
Yeah. Looks
Here
like,
with the turrets gone from the side now, this is easier for the BCs to get in at planetary.
yeah, and this base is a little bit further away than the other
Yeah,
bases.
yeah.
With the natural and the third both having planetary fortresses and both having the missile turret setups, you can almost sometimes get ping pong between the two, and that can be really rough. But this base is a little bit more by itself, and a little bit easier to poke into and then just jump out of. Although,
Kind of odd.
how
whole
much
decision
damage
there.
did you do? You know,
Yeah.
like what was done really?
Yeah, yeah.
Not
Yeah,
much.
like some workers kill, but I think they're reasonably easily replaced. Yeah, here's the blue flame yet again, getting into some of these far-flung bases.
Yeah, when you have mostly BCs to react, you know,
Yeah,
they have the teleport ability, but when they're not teleporting, BCs are not
Slow.
fast. Yeah, having to pull a BC for a single Hellion is
yeah,
insanely annoying. So I am glad that BenBot is doing those kind of gimmicks. It's kind of like what I really wanted to see CatRock do, with just like send one of the Banshees to be annoying. You know, just pull something back, especially when they're trying to do this kind of death ball army. The most annoying thing you can do to a death ball army is pull it apart and make sure that
yeah.
it can't just walk over you and ignore everything. So yeah, BenBot playing this as well as they can. Once they're in this stage of the game and once they're in this deficit, I think this is exactly what you want to do. I don't know if there'll be enough time and if it'll be enough to actually turn the tides though, because that is a fleet right there.
Yeah,
an armada.
Yeah, yeah. That second wave coming in is pretty deadly. If they just Yamato all of this to death, yeah, then you're gonna have a tough time regrouping here. Marines, they're a little too scared of the BCs. Like, I think if they're coming with you, the whole point of them is to get underneath that stuff.
Yeah, get in front and actually push.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, good. Maybe a better angle. He's a little wider this time, but then gets baited back into this kind of corner.
Yeah,
But I think he might just have so much this time.
yeah, I think eventually it won't matter, but yeah, like the attacks are some of the worst setups.
Yeah.
Where like he's almost trying to get attacked from all three missile turret setups
Yeah,
of like
yeah.
the third, the natural, the fourth.
Breaking through with some of the static stuff, but then kind of it's these weird drifts that he's doing
Yeah.
that get him into trouble. Yeah,
Oh my
gets
gosh.
everything out, but yeah, it is expensive to repair, but he's got a pretty big bank. BenBot does not at this point.
Yeah.
The armies, I keep looking at being like, oh, he's got a 3-to-1 army advantage, but he has for the last like 8 minutes.
Oh
And
yeah,
it
no, I
doesn't-
mean,
and it hasn't made that big a difference.
I think now that we're getting to the point where BenBot's most recent base has 3 patches left,
Yeah,
4 patches left,
the
whatever
issue.
it is.
Yeah.
I think now, once we reset the Viking count, it won't be reproduced in the amount of time that it takes to repair your BCs, you know? So eventually BenBot's production will slow down, and eventually Zena will actually be able to, you know, whittle away at BenBot's army. But yeah, recently, or like up until this point, the production of BenBot's just been fast enough where forcing Zena's BCs to go home and be repaired and then fly all the way back takes enough time that you can kind of get another 6 Vikings out to get Yamato
Yeah.
immediately.
For sure. I think the last gasp of BenBot is going to be the 3 upgrades that we're seeing on the screen. That if those finish and then somehow you can make a good last stand and get a lot of kills, but there's only 29 army supply left. There's kind of nothing to go on.
Yeah, I mean, the mineral count is just like being able to see it in double
Yeah, yeah.
digits for ever because it's going to be
'Cause
used
it's repairing.
soon. Yeah,
Yeah.
it just the writing is on the wall.
Yeah, spending it literally as fast as he can get it.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, so I think there's nothing really left except the static defense at this point. I think that's probably the last BC.
oh, I love the. I hate
Yeah.
that we're only seeing it here, but interference matrix would have been awesome to see.
Yeah.
You know, being able to counter multiple BCs with one Raven, just the cost to cost kind of a counter would have been amazing because I think Vikings get a little too expensive. They're not that cheap, and it's not like one Viking can kill one BC, but Ravens can really can really make a difference if they're using interference matrix like that. So I'm surprised it was only used 20 minutes into the game.
At that point.
Yeah.
yeah.
That seems like such a nice tactic.
And now we're in the cleanup. There's only 4 army supply out on the map for BenBot, and there's no income at this point really. So yeah, just basically beating BenBot at his own game, and because this is again Zena's a random bot, we're not necessarily going to get anything like this in the next match.
Well, and Zena's a random bot that enjoys being aggressive and cheesy.
Yeah.
Like, I think
Yeah.
there's almost zero chance that we get another one of these.
Yeah, definitely the case. And if the cleanup, it may be yet another refinery last.
Is there one more at 3 o'clock though?
Yeah.
Well, there's one more there, and then there's one more
there,
at 3
one
o'clock.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last melon. And oh, Zena takes it. GG.
Surprising.
Yeah, it's no one expected.
Yeah, so I think these initial attacks, like there's such good concave here by BenBot, the static defense is in place, there's Widow Mines there, there's SCVs repairing, and so many just kind of, I think, inefficient attacks, but then Zena with just such a better economy throughout.
Yeah. Zena with the much better macro setup. BenBot able to hold on for a really long time because of the defensive setup and because of the micro that happened when Zena was pushing in. Man, I really want to see that interference matrix happen way earlier and see if that, because like Zena was throwing away BCs, and if you interference matrix them so that none of them can jump away, I feel like that just would snowball so hard for BenBot so quickly. Again, like you said, I don't think we're going to get a game that's similar to that. I don't think Zena's going to be building BCs again.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But if it were to go
We'll
down
see.
like that, I would love for BenBot to do some more interference matrix plays, because with the missile turrets and the anti fortress, I think that defensive game could have been even stronger, and that was already where they were getting so much value.
Yeah, and I kind of feel too. So BenBot, I think, in past games has gone up to many more bases than that, and eventually, like, kind of slowly takes the map. And I felt like something was happening early there when BenBot had like 60 workers but 2 bases.
Yeah, like the timing of the third base seemed very
it was weird,
wonky. Something in there,
So I don't know whether that was. I mean, it didn't look like a plan, whether it's like a response or like, to what Zena was doing, possibly. But it felt weird when that happened. So
yeah, felt like something hiccuped BenBot's kind of overall game plan. So we'll see if Zena goes for a rush, if BenBot kind of cleans up that third timing and the middle econ part of the game. Could be an extremely different game.
Yeah, could be very different. Like this could end up being a 12 pool or something.
Yeah.
So let's hop in and see what this is. Going on to Site Delta.
Zena. BenBotBC.
I really wanted a 12 pool.
I would have.
Just if you had said that could happen and it happened.
Yeah.
Still probably going to be a little bit cheesy, but it looks like, at least for the very beginning, going to take a normal natural, going to get a pool a little bit later than at 12 workers.
Yeah, pity. Well,
It's a
maybe.
shame.
If we're gonna get something, I want a Nidus worm or something. It's been a while since we've seen a Nidus worm. You've
Nidus
probably
would be
never
fun.
seen it. There was a bot that used to. Actually, I think is it the guy that's now working with Tier Hall? Used to do Nidus worm. Eris, sorry, Eris' team. That guy used to do Nidus worms with his bot. I think it's a underutilized potential.
Oh yeah, well, especially with I feel like changelings are not
Yeah.
well dealt with, right? Like usually
Yeah.
changelings just go on living as long as they can. So I feel like changelings and like yeah, just the amount of ways you can get vision, especially as a bot, perfectly poking in and out with overlords and stuff. I could see that being horrendously annoying, even as a bots versus humans. I feel like that could be a decent play, but especially bots versus bots, Nidus seems like it could be crazy annoying. Was it usually just like Lings in the Nidus? Like Ling Roach or something?
Pretty much. Yeah. I think it was just Lings. And
you don't want to get too tech heavy,
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to just go. If you're doing that, it's got to be a surprise. You just go.
All right, first Overlord is going to give its life to be able to see no natural.
Maybe he was there to put a Nidus down and we're never going to see it now. Who knows?
Oh, okay, roaches.
Yeah.
And no links have been made, so this might just be a nice, good old-fashioned. What was it? VPN roach was one of the guys last season.
Yeah. Something
or
like
EPN, Evil People Network.
EPN,
yeah,
Evil People Network. Yeah. I kept wanting to say
ESPN. Yeah.
Yeah. But EPN. Yeah. Droning up a lot more just ahead of this.
A healthy 2-base economy.
Yeah.
And they're also just going so greedy in terms of literally like no. Well, wait, there's 6 army supply. Maybe they did make a few lings, or no, that's queens.
The queens, the queens come.
Okay, yeah. So like if like a reaper or anything came in to be annoying early on, a Hellion or something, I feel like I could have seen a lot of success. But yeah, as it is, Zena's gonna go straight into roaches and then probably just move across with like 15 something roaches.
Yep. It might make sense. We'll see how well he defends it. The Widow Mines aren't out yet, but there is going to be a tank, I think, on that corner. See if he sends it down low. Yeah. There's the burrow. Okay, I was about to say, like, if you're making the roach investment early, you've got to get the burrow with it.
Yeah.
It tends to just make them ultimately unkillable.
I mean, it's like, I'll watch like Dark play with burrow, and even a human, his burrow is so annoying with single lings in certain places or 2 roaches where that can come back up when the army's not there. But bot roaches is like a whole nother beast. Being able to just instantly. I mean, it's like Blink Micro, but like almost better because you like I don't know, you're able to like refill the spot where they're burrowed very quickly and like.
And they heal so quick.
Yeah.
It's like turbocharged.
The relentlessness of burrowed roaches is a lot. So we do have a tank out. We have another tank on the way. We have a bunker. So we have like a decent setup from BenBot, and it is one of those high ground naturals. So that is very annoying to attack into.
Yeah, it'll be how much progress is made.
Oh, these Marines need to not be on the depots though, right? Yeah.
See, the thing here with the ramp though and 2 tanks is a single shot is causing them to instant burrow, and then they die from splash because they're in the spot as they unburrow. Now, if you could contain with this and then continue with an economy, then that would be nice.
Yeah.
And if we eventually transition to maybe like burrow movement.
Oh, I like.
The scan here is going to be good.
Maybe I don't like it, but I like that there was some sort of trigger that said, okay, let's push and not just wait. Because obviously the waiting wasn't working.
I think it was the scan itself. So the scan says you can't burrow here.
Oh, true. Okay.
And then he just went and was like, okay, no options then. Let's go.
Dude, a scan just feels like such a hard like concept of like, because I know we've talked about like, like biles or something where like when the AI has to deal with something that isn't there, but is like a timed, it's going to be there in like a couple seconds. Scan feels like that to me. And so it's very impressive that it was able to be used as a trigger of, I know that I'm being seen. I need to go in now.
I think CatRock has explained this before because his bot once had an issue where it bugged out and he had to fix it. But there's layers to how it sees things, and I think it sees detection as if it, like as a map. So if there's a turret, then there's a circle around it. If there's a raven, there's a circle around it for where detected is. So I think a scan operates exactly like one of those
creates
circles.
a circle for a little bit. Yeah.
So, and you're right in saying I don't know that it knows the timing of it. You could probably program, if you saw the beginning of it, you could probably figure at the end.
But it knows when it's there or not.
It knows whether it's there or not, and it knows where the exact edge of it is.
Yeah,
so it knows to get out, but so it knows that, but I don't know if it knows the timing, like this will go away in 3 seconds.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like, honestly, if that attack had a overlord in little annoying keeper spot, I think that attack could have been a lot better. I mean, 2 tanks is still very annoying to deal with, and especially with how the Roach burrow works, like it can trigger those a little bit earlier than it needs to and kind of mess with the logic there. But having vision and being able to maybe attack the depots before the tank range, or being able to see the Marines or something, I feel like would have added a lot.
Would help kind of up. Here, he's got to focus this down before it turns into the planetary. There, he gets it he was starting to freak out, like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
And just needed the 1 or 2 volleys. So lucky
each individual Roach was like, I can't fight this by myself, so I need to leave.
Yeah, so big pickup to be able to get that. Jumps on
and
the units.
Kind of nice timing of being the CC was being turned into a planetary fortress. Not a planetary fortress yet, but also not building where it could just lift off and not have to worry about it. It's like
exactly.
It's like when your base is about to finish, and it's like, well, like, do I cancel it 99% of the way through, or do I pray that I don't lose it as soon as it gets finished?
Yeah,
because both those kind of suck.
Yeah, for sure. It's hard to make that sort of decision when to bail out, especially when you're that close, and it's kind of the thing you're waiting to happen.
It's like, this is supposed to make it
this
secure.
Will save me. Yeah. Zena expanding to the 4th. BenBot is gonna soon face a problem where not only has he not expanded, but there's gonna be creep everywhere that he wants to expand, and that's gonna put a clock on everything. Even if you clear out these tumors, it takes a full minute for that to actually clear away, so that you can get it in the location. So BenBot is going to be in some pretty severe economic pressure in pretty short order.
Yeah, and I remember there was I forget what Zerg it was, but there was a Zerg that had creep blocking a command center, and the creep tumor wasn't actually where the command center was going to land, but the creep was. And so every time the Terran would scan, it would scan like with the creep tumor barely outside of it, because the creep was, and it just like, if the few things that have to like kind of line up happen, it can be even more annoying than it should be trying to clear this creep, because it can be a creep tumor right outside of a Raven range or right outside of a scan range, and it can just indefinitely hold up some of these expansions.
Yeah, for sure. You see this one shopping around for a place to go. There's a couple up north if you want to get there. It looks like, so BenBot is going to get the first BC out as well, going for Yamada 2. But Zena is even adding on not only Infestors, but Neural Parasite.
Yeah, and getting Hydras.
Yeah.
Hydras, Neural Parasite.
Hydras, Burrow Movement now. Just teching it. Like, Zena has apparently, between seasons, become a completely different bot.
Yeah, I feel like their strengths and weaknesses are just straight up lies, especially because they only put one word each.
Yeah.
It was like the exact opposite. It was like weaknesses would be like aggression, and then the strengths would be like late game. Because this is looking, I mean, they've shut BenBot out from getting a third. I think maybe they've landed now, but I think it might still be floating. Yeah, because there's too much.
Yeah, it's so funny. Can't go anywhere. Can't go anywhere. Starting to clean it up. But yeah, this just takes a little while. There's still, to your point, like there's a tumor there in the back. That's not going to extend far enough, but it's just kind of annoying.
Oh, they do.
Okay, seeing that turret in the back. It's good. So yeah, we'll clear that up. But yeah, looking at this, it's hard to know where we're going to go from here. It's even once that base gets up, like, congratulations, you're on a one base economy basically, because it's 11 minutes in.
Okay, Neural Parasite does not look like it's used in the best way when it's only one BC. I think if they're more than one BC, Obviously, they'll go ahead and attack each other, so it's fine. But Zena definitely doesn't have that logic of flicking your own taken over unit, which is, it's a weird concept. You know, saying it out loud, you know, I get it.
Huge surround here coming just from every angle.
Yeah, that 360 is actually kind of nuts.
Yeah. The Liberator up there, Hydra's kind of got to get to it, but they're just kind of ignoring it. Take out the planetary. Or, yeah.
Yeah, that Liberator got a lot of kills there.
Yeah.
I mean, still worth it from Zena. It's kind of like it was last game, where like you have the economic advantage. If you can do anything to slow them down, it's just worth it by like so hard. Like BenBot is in such a bad position of having the bases and having an okay worker count, but just not being able to actually land and get mining. You know, it's going to get really bad pretty soon, where when the first 2 bases are actually fully out of minerals, BenBot is going to be in shambles.
Yeah. That 4th base too that could have landed at the 3rd, I think, because it had already decided to land up here. It isn't okay. If he took that, that would have been pretty bad. This one will get down. We'll attempt. This one's becoming a CC, not a planetary.
Silly.
Yeah.
But it might be just straight up. You don't have that many. You know, like so many bases have been taken out that maybe you do need some. You need some mules, and you need to be able to lift it away. Maybe just run away in this next one.
Yeah, Zena overall struggling with gas a little bit, but has a good income. I think we're going to start to see that Zena bank really spiral.
Yeah, I mean, look at the bases. It's just...
And BenBot just nothing. 2 BCs, but you know, they're not. There's nothing that. Yeah, there's a nice Neural and the Yamato. It ain't. Yeah.
I wish the Yamato was on the other BC, but
being
able to Neural and Yamato, pretty good.
Nice fungal there on the whole group of IO too.
And I think they tried to use the teleport before it ended as well, which I think that's extremely cute.
Yeah.
Especially for, like, if you don't have the logic to move your own neural unit, maybe you think they didn't like do much about neural at all, but clearly at least a decent amount of logic went into the neural ability and how to actually use what you neuraled. Because using the abilities is just another kind of level of understanding and implementation.
Yeah, just nowhere to land, nowhere to be. I liked Zena's patience this game too. Unlike the previous game where I felt it was just like throwing good after bad into like tough spots. This Zerg is not doing that. Like this is I'm gonna smother you to death. I'm not gonna take a bad fight. I'm not gonna, like, each decision to push in against something like a planetary has been correct. Zena has not gone in when it was a lost cause.
And then Zena backs up after getting the like a reward of whatever they were going for. Yeah, I feel like this is much more of a containment and not a I have more economy, so I'm gonna force fights as often as possible and just win over attrition. This is like, I'm gonna slowly choke you out and take literally every base, and you're gonna have your 2 bases that you had at the beginning, and that's it. So yeah, really sick from Zena. Definitely not at all what I was expecting from Zena.
No. Yeah.
This is like 2 like late game. I mean, like, and not even a happen to get into late game and you have all these early game units and kind of play like Dark does, where it's like Ravager Ling for 20 minutes. It's like you're going into Neural Parasite. Like you're going into Infestors and like this late game tech and comp, and it seems very deliberate, I'll say.
Yeah. Doesn't quite know what to do here to end
the
things,
ramp is destroying.
Yeah. But it's going to be fine. Like it's going to starve it out, and I mean, eventually just going to end up killing with his own DCs if they don't die.
Yeah.
The Hydras, the one behavior that could be massively fixed here, Hydras won't fight the BCs.
Yeah.
And I feel like they're supposed to.
It's that individual, like, each Hydra is determining if they alone can take on the BC, and the answer is always no. But man, if you have 40 Hydras, you really can get under it.
they're so obsessed with this one. If this neural parasite just Yamato's the liberator,
yeah, dude.
like, because that's what they're dancing around is the tank and liberator edge. And I think if you take that out of the sky, they'll go.
Yeah, liberators, I think, seem very hard to deal with from both sides. Both as the liberator user, it seems very hard to get a good circle and, you know, have this concept of where my unit is before I set up really affects how it sets up. And like, you know, understanding how concave, or not concaves, how like choke points work and stuff. And, you know, there's a lot of nuance to the user side of the liberator. But man, attacking into a liberator also seems like a nightmare and a half.
This CC has been all over the map.
just begging for a spot to land.
It's just shopping for a home that it's never gonna find.
Got like the 7th base location.
Yeah.
Like maybe you haven't spread here. Maybe you don't have already a hatch building here.
That may be the last building alive this time around. In the air, there's one refinery in the natural.
On depot, and that is
I don't even know where it was, but yeah, cleaned up. So yeah, I mean, just a crazy transformation for the bot to have a random bot that was pretty cheesy now going to 2 late game macro games with like infestor neural parasite tech.
Yeah, against like a BC bot.
Yeah,
like against
yeah.
a bot that like is not trying to not go into late game. Like it wants to go late game and wants to get into VCs.
Yeah.
And Zena let it go there and did a really good. I mean, some of the fights weren't the prettiest game 1.
Yeah.
But macro wise, was outplaying the entire time. Like had the advantage, pretty much the entire time.
Yeah.
Which is super impressive and super surprising. Definitely caught us off guard.
Yeah. That's for sure. So yeah, got to Zena. That may be the one. Looking this one, the poll was, well, we asked the question alternatively. Sometimes we ask, who do you think is going to win? This time we asked, who do you want to win? It was almost 50-50. 53% BenBot, 46% Zena. It would have been interesting what the who do you think is going to win would have been on that one. Because I think we would have got much more heavy on the BenBot side. But yeah, Zena, see if people even know what this bot does or for future matchups. But,
well, I feel like you only have this season to go off of now.
Yeah.
You only have like these everything that we did know about Zena, or like that you could have had, you know, some theory crafting about, seems like it's not going to be relevant almost at all, unless maybe Zena does have still, you know, a pro pull or a cannon rush or some cheesy stuff. Yeah. But
I'm sure it's still in there, so you could turn it on.
That looked like a macro late game random bot.
Mm-hmm. It was indeed. So there are the first 2 matches of the night. We're going to take a 5-minute break and come back with 3 and 4. I think the next ones might be a bit quicker, but I actually don't know. I expected this one to be relatively quick, and it was not.
My predictions have gone out the window. Both of these, in my eyes, were upsets, and they're both 2-0s in the upset favor. So, like, I have no idea what's going to go on.
All right. Well, we'll find out when we get back. In the meantime, while we're on break, check out ProBotsAI.com if you want to support the stream, and SC2AI.net for the ladder information and where these bots qualify from, all that stuff. And Ben Yoshi will turn his light on.
Yeah, I'm gonna go grab a big light.
Yeah. All right. Cool. See you.
Okay. No, I'm actually here.
Yeah, you're here. You're here.
I'm actually here. Yeah. Bow, 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 brap, brap, pew, pew. Welcome back to ProBots. We're back for the second half. I thought I would show up just to make a guest appearance, also to maybe a little bit to fill time. Not fill time, I mean, look behind the curtain. But absolutely, here we are back to the second half. Those last games, though, I mean, I never thought anyone out BenBot the BenBot. So that was pretty wild to see a different.
Exactly. It was
Zena.
like watching BenBotBC fighting BenBot AD.
Oh.
Oh no. No.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
No, I don't. I don't like it at all. Does not want. All right. But anyways, though, let's take a look at these brackets and see where we are for our second half of the show. Where we land. I actually have to like full screen it so I can see it. Here we are in the second half with Micro Machine versus SharkBot. I'm not
See
sure
where all the rectangles confusing you.
Yeah.
I hate to say it.
Yeah.
The bottom left is false. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. Don't do Zena dirty like that. You know.
Yeah.
I know it's an upset, but
yeah. Okay, so Micro Machine is going up against SharkBot and Eris against Zozo. This is like the, I don't know, that's gonna be like the oddest game of the tournament because like Eris is like the ProBot champion of the universe, and Zozo is like scrappy, coming out, gonna rush you with your workers.
Yeah. Like we'll get the Zealot will be interesting there if it's a Zealot rush. Will Eris respond well to that? Like, because you still get, no matter how good you are, you have to respond right, or there's just too many Zealots.
Zozo,
we'll talk about that when we get there.
Is Zozo doing does they do the proxy Zealot? The flower?
They were doing the flower build,
Yeah, okay. All right. I couldn't quite.
I think maybe they had a 3-gate variation as well, but yeah, they're a big, like, they just get, and they're a pooler. So they'll pool like 7 Zealots and then run in with all 7. And sometimes
that
be really
successful. That could actually be kind of problematic for Zena. I mean, for Zena, for Eris, because I think everyone has ever pointed out that the weakness of Eris is actually its early game, but it usually responds very well.
Yeah.
So, because like Eris is pretty greedy, is a pretty greedy bot as it goes, as far as most bots go. It just knows how to handle whatever most bots do with the early game, and it just gets away with what it wants to get away with. But if you're able to, get in there early, I think Eris might have an Achilles heel, so that would be exciting.
Is Eris one of the Terrans that scouts?
Zergs.
Oh, there's Zerg.
Yeah.
Okay, so Zealots even work better with. Okay, for some reason, I always imagined Eris. I've never seen them play. I've only heard,
never seen? Oh
no,
I've only heard people
talk
saw
about Phobos.
Oh,
yeah. So in my head, whenever I heard of the legend Eris, where it was like, oh, Eris wins all of them. This is just another Eris spot. I was like, oh, Eris is probably a Terran. I just feel like there's so many Terrans. Like all the top guys were just like Terran. So
my sweet summer child, let me take you back to the days.
I don't know.
Oh no, Eris is the Zerg. Like it's everywhere. It's all over you. It has like creep spread all over the place before their like 5-minute mark. It's ready. So you're gonna experience. I won't even ruin it for you. We'll wait till you guys have to talk about it.
Well, because I think also Zealots work way better against like the flower build was made as a PvZ, right? Like
right.
I feel like the power of the Zealot against Zerg specifically is so strong. Of like, you get the first queen, you get the first couple lings, then it starts snowballing. So I'm way more excited that Eris is a Zerg because I feel like that helps Zozo a lot. That matchup not being a PvT.
We could actually, that could be an upset. That actually be really.
Tonight's already been CatRock going down is wild. Zena playing macro like BC versus BC, Infestor versus BC is wild. So we'll see. I want SharkBot to win. We'll get a quick one there, and then we can go a little bit longer and have a Zealot Rush win.
A Zealot Rush. Well, I'll leave you guys.
Zealot Rush. Zealot Rush macro game.
Long comparatively to the Worker Rush. Yeah.
Well, then I won't let you. I'll save you guys to do your predictions, but I'll ask you from the games that we saw before. Like, what was your favorite experience from the games we saw before?
I think the BC versus BC was the most novel, even though I think the second game was better. I think that one. The seeing the BC, it was good, even though I think the Zerg version of Zena was actually better.
Yeah, I think it was either like for specific interactions, it was either the second game of Zena getting the neural parasite and actually using the Yamada cannon and almost using the teleport. I think that is just like such a cool interaction that doesn't happen all the time. And then I wish they had done it sooner, and I wish it was more part of the game. But game 1 of Zena, BenBot using the interference matrix on the BC, like that idea, that concept, I thought was like that could change the BC versus BC meta. That could change, you know. So that was really cool looking. Didn't go to much, but that moment I was like, oh, I could see some weird stuff happening now with, you know, CatRock games later on in the season or something like that.
Well, let's take a moment to appreciate, because some of these bots have their own frameworks, their own like infrastructure, and they are neuroparasiting, jumping away. Like, I have to really say that I am extremely impressed personally with Zena specifically, because not only is it a random bot, but it's like a random bot on steroids in terms of its logic and the way that it's able to, like, the idea to neuroparasite and then Yamato and like jump away is, I think, a little wild to that's like to think about that, to program that in as that's an edge case to me personally, as even someone who's starting out to botting, where you're like, well, you know, I would just try to maybe jump the BCs into my static T or something like that. That's like an easy win, as opposed to thinking about it, getting some use out of it, and then I think they tried to. I didn't think we saw that, but
it ran out as they were like teleporting. But I think the idea. So like I think like Yamato Cannon, obviously you still have to put the logic in and like it has to do it. But getting the damage, I feel like makes more sense to me at like a fundamental level of like, if you get the Yamato, you're gonna do the storm, or you're gonna like use whatever like damage you can. But to do the jump, not anywhere specific, just like literally like right next to it, just to put it on cooldown. That conceptually, I'm like, that's freaking cool. That's such a good, you know, it's not for my benefit. It's just to screw that guy over. Like, it's such a harder concept to, you know, kind of think about and play around. And I love that.
I think what I also really love though is like Zena, like you mentioned, Endershort, a patient bot. I think patience is such an under. Like, it's so hard to get around you guys, the audience, just to be able to communicate with a patient bot. To kind of get that logic in is actually, I would find from my perspective as building a bot is really hard, because you have to kind of tell it to wait, and like, what is it waiting for? Right? That kind of logic is, I think, really hard. So
well, and I think it's a very fine line of because when you're too patient, you have the hydras that Endersor was pointing out, or you know, we see it with Marines all the time, where it's like when none of them want to engage because they're playing perfect and they're perfectly patient or spacing, and it's like, well, actually you're like shooting yourself in the foot. You kind of have to kind of just go for the thing. So like I feel like the patience and the pulling the trigger is like the roaches getting scanned and stuff. It's like it didn't work out at all there. But the idea of like sometimes you can't just run away, and that's like way worse than just trying to take the fight, and like it's not going to be the most favorable trade, but you're literally just going to bleed off for the entire time if you're trying to run away. So I feel like that balance is such a hard thing to do.
And even when we were watching like BenBot, there was this element of him. I know BenBot, it was Zena with the Marines. I don't think the Marines were really getting in there as much as, you know, the BCs were getting into doing Yamato, but the Marines weren't cleaning up a lot of the static D and cleaning up a lot of the stuff underneath it. And I think that was just a fear of range problem. I'm not 100% sure, but you know, kudos to we're we're in the higher rounds when we have these kind of conversations.
These are the winners. These are the winners.
We have it. Awesome. So you know what? And for that, speaking of the winners, I'm gonna let you guys take us away into the next part of our show.
Production, get him out of here.
Deal. We will. All right. Now that guy's gone.
Yeah. Jeez.
Let's talk about StarCraft. So we got Micro Machine and SharkBot coming up. SharkBot's done some pretty interesting stuff lately in terms of cheeses on his own, but like proxy, shield battery, things like that. Don't know how effective that's going to be against Marine or Terran. But I expect some sort of early pressure, like this says. Although this is Micro Machine, which has a lovely new portrait, more cartoony, more AI generated looking.
I do like that portrait.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one. For like 13 seasons, we just had the original Micro Machine, like Hearthstone card in different locations, but now this is the evolution. But always pressure from Micro Machine that constantly kind of evolves into the next stage of pressure. like Reapers into Cyclones into Banshees, things like that, and then eventually BCs.
Yeah, Terran is a race that has really a number of like different timings and different annoying harass units that just kind of flow into each other, and there's a constant stream of different units that can be killing workers at any given time.
Quite true. Weakness, yeah, if there's good rushes that can throw a Micro Machine off, that can work. And Tempest, I think, is something that, to be honest, no one's ever really solved, and it just kind of moved out of the meta a bit. But I know that SharkBot has Void Ray and Tempest builds.
Especially with, you said they were doing some shield battery shenanigans, and I feel like Stargate is the shield shenanigan. Yeah, that's like, it pairs so well, like a fine wine.
Yeah, so has a few build orders that are switched out whenever it loses, and it basically keeps an internal clock or count on what it's lost and won against certain players in the past. So it actually does this not only on the bots, but this is one of the ones that you can play as a human, and it will keep a track of what its record is against you in a little text file hidden away. So it will kind of adapt to what you do as a person or as a bot.
Nice. And their strategy also kind of touched on the idea of adaptation, and it was talking more about in the singular games, the unit composition. It tries to kind of counter that, and as like a more macro kind of counter. So it seems like Micro Machine over time, like game 2, game 3 may start to be a lot stronger against SharkBot if they really are leaning into kind of the adaptability and understanding of the opponent, kind of side of things. And the very opposite is following your gut. It's not about the other guy, it's about me. What am I thinking? SharkBot has abs of steel and a gut full of stinky cheese.
It works. It works. Do it. Weaknesses, bugs, eat them before they eat you. Shouldn't be any bugs in this particular matchup.
I'd be surprised.
Yeah, it would be weird, but deserved qualify. Special, remember what happened last game and talk about it. So anyone doesn't know, SharkBot was originally a chat bot, and someone mentioned, I think, not only a chat bot, it was a chat bot in like Brood War. It could chat on like BattleNet or something. I don't know what it was doing, but it was its own like website. So it started out as a StarCraft Brood War chat bot, and then turned into a bot, which I imagine just took extra coding.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of SharkBot. I think I'm a big fan of any bot that types during the game, even if it's like CatRock's Banshee, 2 kills, 100 mineral, like just the raw data. I love those, but I also love I think it's SharkBot that does the movie quotes. And it'll just like quote like Jurassic Park and just like have the most ridiculous quotes. Although maybe it was CatRock. Someone said get out of my swamp earlier today. So I love the little flair and the little personalities that people put on their bots. So personally, as a Protoss cheeser and as a fan of talking, I want SharkBot. I don't know if that's my like what you were talking about before, who do you want to win and who do you think will win? I want SharkBot to win. I don't know if I think they'll win, but I want them to win.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure. I think that SharkBot will win on this one too. Just with Micro Machine, it's been so good for so long, but I know it's not maintained to the same extent that they used to. So it's often based on that people can kind of counter program against it. But the fact that it continues to win, it's almost like the gatekeeper at this point to where the elite level is. It's been elite for so long. It's so well developed. It doesn't require a lot of maintenance, but it's not making leaps and bounds changes each season at this point. The authors just don't have time. It's a team in Quebec that make it. But so we'll see. SharkBot's the hungry one, and Micro Machine is the bar that you got to jump over. And unlike the Olympic guy that did it, SharkBot just hoped that he doesn't hit his dick on the bar.
Okay. That's so true. Let's see what happens with that note.
Micro Machine. SharkBot.
Game.
Yeah, no, no,
All
no,
right, we're
before it's
back.
even
We're
created.
back.
All right. Well, this is a great time as any. So SharkBot, you know, given that it is a chat bot, it does have a little letter for us. So I will read it right now. Dear ProBots, they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So I've spent the last 6 weeks working out my. Oh, I forgot that I pre-read this, and I should not have volunteered to read this. I've been working out my orbicularis oculi and levator palpebrae superioris, or something like that. Love SharkBot. so SharkBot's working on their vision, I guess.
Fair
Is
enough.
the idea to be able to better understand beauty.
It which one is? I'm trying to find the date on these. So there's a. I don't even think the one that you're saying. Because yeah, I see one. Yeah, dear ProBots, as you can tell, I'm a perfect physical specimen with massive muscles. As you would expect, I'm not flexible, but you would be wrong. My flexibility is now unmatched. I've done the splits between two colossi as they traverse the cliffs into the enemy main, just like Jean-Claude Van Damme. I now do perfect splits every game. Witness how I harvest the first 40 minerals, billions of nanoseconds before my opponent. Love SharkBot.
All right, I think we have the game. Maybe we're gonna hop into the game.
All right.
And then we'll go over more letters if we have them from SharkBot. And let's go.
SharkBot. Micro Machine.
It's from August 6th, so I think that's the most recent of him working on his orbicularis. All right, we're already in the game. We've got a cannon rush. For those who don't know, I'm actually, well, I don't play much ladder anymore, but I was a very big cannon rusher. This is like definitely my
Me too.
favorite strategy of the game.
It's a fun strategy.
It lets you play good players really fast,
Yes.
which is nice.
You pump through them every time. When I haven't played in a while, I'll literally just log on, do one cannon rush game to get re-ranked.
Yeah.
and like, yeah, that's
See,
it for the season.
I always try to I like to try to play macro on unranked, but my MMR disparity is so huge that if I get ranked first, then people see my MMR when I queue up for unranked, and they're like, "Oh, this piece of garbage is like trolling." I'm like, dude, I swear, like I'm losing in this MMR. Like I'm not trying to troll you, but so I sometimes just let my rank stay unranked so I can not get flamed or immediately cheesed whenever I play.
Get back up there. Oh, there was a large window where they could have just gone up and ended this.
Yeah, three probes also is a pretty big amount to commit to going across the map. I think some people do one. I think if you're going to be committed and build that first gateway over there, then two is an appropriate amount, because you really don't want to get shut down if your plan is to build a gateway on that side. Three though is like a little overkill in my opinion, especially if you're not using them to gain the high ground vision and actually using those shields that they have.
Zealot does break in here, and SCV's coming down to attack and repair. They're kind of coming to their death here.
Yeah, we have one Reaper on the other side, but excuse me, this Stalker is going to be huge. Stalker against like pre-stimmed Terran is probably one of like the most annoying, scary units in the game. Like the amount of value you can get. If Micro Machine can get like a tank out or something, that'll obviously be pretty much the end of this rush, at least until you can get into something like a Void Ray or Warp Gate and get like a couple more units out. But pre-tank, this Stalker should wreck havoc.
Yeah, and I think it's going to. It's also giving Vision to take out the remaining barracks here, which is going to be a problem as the second Stalker comes in. The other barracks with one Marine out, but already deep in the red.
Yeah, I think as Micro Machine, I think you got to have the logic to pull that barracks back eventually.
Yeah.
Not the biggest deal, and I think honestly with this tank coming out, I think it kind of just puts an end to this. I don't think these Stalkers, unless they were microed very well and kind of jumped on top of that tank, which I still a Marauder in tank honestly makes it like even with 5 Stalkers, I think this is like a rough thing to push into. And unfortunately, Micro Machine might be just finding their way out of this. SharkBot is getting the Nexus down.
Yeah,
at Micro Machine's natural, which
and
does
the
give
shield battery.
Yeah, it does give a huge boost to the shield batteries.
Yeah.
Obviously, their starting energy will start with 100 rather than 50, and then that battery overcharge will be available to use offensively, which is pretty awesome. The Twilight Council, though, I'm not loving.
No, yeah, that seems like an overcommitment into this off one base. He's getting up there, so he's on top of it, but there's not enough to go with this.
Yeah. I mean, Marauders are just real strong. I think, especially if you're going to play around this ledge, like obviously that is happening right now, Stargate, in my opinion, is kind of what you want to go into. I'm seeing like Void Ray into like Tempest and just being really annoying and using that the ramp so that the Marines can't chase you, and especially if they go so anti-ground as Marauder and tank.
Yeah.
One Void Ray would, I mean, just destroy this. But even if the Void Ray can't push in, keeping that high ground vision while also being over your own batteries, is like such a large part. Honestly, I think this was like one of the best starts SharkBot could have gotten. The first cannon that was put down went up, and you got the ramp really quickly. But
there's a few little things that I think went really wrong. I think SharkBot looked like intended to expand behind this, and that one Reaper that was across the map just killed a bunch of probes that kept trying to push out and do something. So he lost a lot of workers there that he didn't need to, from that one Reaper that stuck in. And the position of the cannon on the other side is perfectly positioned to stop the Reaper directly at the ramp. I think that's why it's exactly where it is. But then him unforced putting probes out there to lose was part of the issue. So now I don't know what the transition is, because we're getting Blink obviously, but look at how much Micro Machines tacked up. And
I mean, if you're gonna do a cannon rush where your first gateway is across the map, I mean, it could have been different, especially with that, like you were saying, if SharkBot did get a natural up on their side. But usually in my head, like if you build the gateway on your opponent's side, that really speaks to the level of dedication that you're kind of committing. And you really do need to do pretty much game-ending damage, or at least keep that outpost. I think here, if this is a human versus human game, like SharkBot is almost for sure doomed. Maybe with Blink Stalkers and some weird interactions, they can come back, but
I think he's about to die pretty soon. Other than the static defense, he doesn't have detection, and 2 Banshees are about to make that an issue.
Oh, also, the way that the defensive cannon is set up, like you said, it blocks the ramp. Oh, I guess it kind of blocks the Reaper jump up as well.
That's I think that's what it's exactly trying to, like the exact position it's in, I think is perfect for what it was.
I feel like the Reaper can get in getting just shot once, but
it could, but it's more that it's more that it won't. It's not that it can't, it's just it won't.
That's fair. Because I always just think of, Print F is kind of my
Yeah.
guru of cannons. And so I always imagine the cannons in the mineral line, kind of on both sides to force the Reaper not to be able to at least attack there. But yeah, what you're saying makes a ton of sense against bots. That if the cannon can get one shot in, it guarantees that it will never come past that cannon.
Yeah, and it's totally too on the ramp there. If you looked at where the range was, it extends right to the bottom corner of the ramp. But you could just go above it and go completely around it. It doesn't matter. But the bot's not capable.
It would never do that. Yeah.
So so it can't be like, oh, I'll take another path. It takes the path it takes. So yeah. Really scary start there for Micro Machine, but gets established, takes all this stuff back out. A lot of it, I think, SharkBot had those original probes, like taking out the depot quicker, the zealots in a little quicker,
keeping
like even
high
just
ground
10 seconds quicker.
Would have been huge because the barracks did go down.
Yeah.
So like any amount of time you can stop from that barracks producing is like ginormous. And then getting the depots down faster also just like it delays everything. Like that's such a huge part of the cannon rush momentum is like, especially because like really good players will start to build the depot to finish off the wall and then not finish the depot so that they can cancel it. But if you finish both depots, having a guaranteed like double depot kill early on is like such a huge momentum shift of like, all right, they have to spend 100 more minerals to even get their supply back and their supply blocked. So like the delay that you can get on your opponent's units, which when you're only messing with 1 or 2 units at a time is like ginormous. And every unit is like such a large part of your army. I think that momentum can make it look really, really different. Because that first cannon went down no problem. Good positioning where it can like reach the ramp, can has space to build the gateway and stuff. So I liked a lot of the start. Don't like the 3 probes. Don't like ever losing high ground vision. High ground vision is like the most important thing to keep your eye on if you're going to start on the low ground.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like that's the key to the whole thing, and that's why he made such a commitment to it. So yeah, you gotta kind of, and it was weird because like clearly the intent of the 3 probes is that they'll survive when the first unit comes out. So it's weird that they all retreated when the first unit came out. The whole point of you being there was to deal with that exact situation, or else you only needed 1. So it's just kind of odd there, but we'll see if he's got other tricks up his sleeve as we jump into game number 2 on hard lead with a
Micro Machine. SharkBot.
All right, no forge, no fun.
Building in his base. Weird.
And an interesting, I feel like Protoss, the first pylon is just such a tell for a lot of things sometimes. But a very interesting a pylon that doesn't do anything besides provide a power field. It's not really blocking anything off. It's not blocking the mineral line to make it harder. It's not blocking the Reaper jump up spot.
Yeah,
just kind of there. I don't love it, but seems very chill, and it also like doesn't seem like it's setting up to take a natural quickly or anything like that. Like all 3 pylons just in the base.
Yeah, Stargate. That's the intent. This could be a few things. So since it's not proxied, it's probably Oracle. I kind of want to see that. I think SharkBot has made oracles work sometimes.
Do any bots play like Phoenix Colossi? I feel like that'd be a really weird one, but
Phoenix I think is really hard.
That's what I kind of would figure.
Yeah.
They're so squishy unless they're in a group and like
and they
understanding
have to
group
work.
Dynamics.
Yeah, exactly. One Phoenix does nothing.
Yeah.
So understanding, like, I got to pick this up and there needs to be 3 other guys with me, and when do I get out, and when I pick it up I'm frozen in space. Like, all that stuff is very, I think
because and then you shift queue too many, and then it's like, well, now none of them are shooting. They're all picking up, and it's like...
I think somebody did that once. They made like 4 Phoenix. They all came in, just picked up an SCV, held it, and then dropped it and left.
Yeah, because they all did at once.
Yeah.
Even as a human, that can be very annoying. Or you put it in the control group. Yeah,
something's happening here. Yeah, like this is pretty bad. We'll be. Was there going to be any resolution?
The good news is that when the Oracle comes into the natural, most of the workers are going to be stuck in the main.
yeah, true.
With the Marines, so
yeah, they could all be in that one little group, and that will be trouble. But yeah.
Oracle's about to hit.
Yeah.
It at least goes around, so it doesn't. What are you waiting for?
What is
that Hydra should destroy it. Imagine it just starts shooting.
That guy doing.
Okay, this confuses me a little bit, unless it's waiting. No,
What's he waiting for? It like an energy limit?
Or if there are like 2 oracles, because against the other 2 races, you one shot. But
that does make a lot of sense, because
it's terrible against Terran.
Yeah. Like, there's your home oracle. Like, I wouldn't send the first one then. If I wanted to, I would wait.
Like the likelihood of it being detected and stuff. Yeah. Well, it's 2 oracles. This oracle still has not done anything. And
maybe this map is broken. Is there any chance there's just
not
something
us,
wrong?
It's them. Yeah.
So yeah, something's completely weird on both sides now. So.
Yeah, Micro Machine. How can you square over those workers and see how many are actually bugged out right there? Yeah, it's a healthy amount, like 7.
Yeah.
8, 9.
Okay. Stasis instead.
Okay. It's not like Micro Machine's mining much anyway,
Yeah. So 2 Tempers are coming out. This is something that I think people, Micro Machine specifically mentioned, but it's hard for really anyone to deal with at the moment.
Yeah, it seems like such a terrible comp. It just is like other people are more annoyed dealing with it than you are annoyed to try to use it. But like, this is gonna be a weird comp to do any actual like. It's just a weird comp to keep together, I guess. 2 Tempests, 2 Oracles, a Phoenix, and a Stalker. I think if the Marines actually get on top of them ever, the Marines will absolutely eat them up. But we'll see how brave the Marines are feeling, and also if half of them are trapped in the main, that's also going to cause a pretty obvious problem. The Vikings even landing and then getting stuck, which is an insane problem to have.
I'm just going to intentionally walk into this barrier issue we're having.
It's like when someone's complaining where it's like, how to fix your problems. Like, you're not, this is not a problem.
Yeah, we need
you're
to get
choosing.
We need to get Dr. Phil into this game.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I mean, SharkBot's going up to a 3rd, getting into a carrier, so eventually, if they are able just to get to 200 supply, they're going to have a killer Sky Toss army.
Yeah. Here's a needless stem for the one stalker that they can't fight.
That is ignoring
but
the
then
Reaper.
But then that stalker's not fighting either. Is the rule on this map that people can only patrol move?
But even patrol move should attack.
Yeah, it should.
Like you have to literally just be move command. Like
yeah,
something seems to be up. But
because I see the blue clicks, it's weird. I don't know what's going on. Everyone's broken.
Yeah, I don't know. Because SharkBot's still expanding. Like there's still, it's enough not broken that the game is still going, and they're still getting up in technology, getting up in econ. There's still growth, but it looks like the fights might get really wonky if this is the standard was that fight over there. Yeah, the ramp is just something is on that ramp.
Crazy. just literally mechanical problems in the depot, and nobody can fix it. That would be frustrating.
The walking Viking, I don't even understand though, like how.
That's really weird. Yeah.
Like when it would ever want to walk through that space anyway.
Yeah.
Even if the depot was down, why would it? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple. It's a few in there.
A couple things messed up. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, the game is gonna progress. Like I said, it's not like they're not growing. You know, it's not like it's actually a standstill.
Yeah.
It's just
Weird.
it's just a very slow growth.
So how is SharkBot coming along over here? Is he just going to wait until he's maxed out and then come with a bunch of Tempest carriers?
I feel like he is.
Oh,
And grounded Vikings do not deal with carriers very well, I'll have to say.
Have you ever had a game like this where maybe you didn't scout, or you only scouted like a minute in, and then you kind of build everything up? 15 minutes later, you go attack your opponent and find out they were AFK for 12 minutes and didn't do anything? It feels like that.
Yeah, and it's going to be a similar eco to that. Because Micro Machine, clearly someone in the main is trying to build this.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not going to be built. Even though he's going to have SCVs mining from the third, there's going to be no third command center ever started.
What's kind of weird from all this is, despite the fact that SharkBot is now expanding to his fourth base and Micro Machine's effectively been on one the entire time, the supply is the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Terran
how is this?
Goddamn broken.
Yeah. I think it's just the cheap supply compared, obviously, to what SharkBot's building, but it's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. And SharkBot now adding on like a Dark Shrine and Storm and just teching everything with completely oblivious that the other side is turned into a full pacifist.
Yeah, SharkBot's playing for the late game.
Yeah.
And has seemingly no intention to even move across the map with anything until he gets,
Everything. Two of every animal.
Yeah, have a
There's
storm.
even a real Phoenix in there.
Have some Tempest. Yeah, the Phoenix was built early too.
Yeah. And it's still, the whole thing's weird. Like, still just, what did the first oracles do? Nothing. Like, came over, put a stasis
trap
down, and that's it. Like,
and even the stasis trap was like 20 seconds after it got there.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like it was like rushed over there. It was like
really weird.
It hung out, waited, stasis, went back home.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It wouldn't shock me if it turns out there's something bugged on the map or the game. Yeah. Or like a version or something. So
even the Banshees, like, I guess there have been, a lot of Terrans that do have the Banshees with their main army, but like, at least one of them usually flies into a mineral line. It's not like it's usually grouped up, everything on one hotkey, spamming move command somewhere. So even the fact, that like, Vikings are landed, Banshees are with the main army. Seems a little funky. Looks like we may come out with this box art army. 1 DT, 1 High Templar, couple Tempest, couple Carrier.
Revelation on everything. Like, the Tempest could just sit there on the outside and shell everything to death.
But yeah, it's weird that enough was working that the scans are coming in for DTs. Like, it's not like Micro Machines like shut down. It's not like it's
doing stuff. It's just doing it in a 4x4 square. That's all. And the Banshee's showing that they could have done this at any time.
Yeah,
they were just they were choosing to participate in the huddle. And even the Vikings that like lifted up. But yeah, weird. And then SharkBot just kind of retreating for no reason. Like, where are you going?
Yeah, I thought the Tempest at least chilled there for a little bit, because it looked like for a second they were doing what you were saying of just picking and hanging out right at the edge. But looks like they're gonna be fully retreated while SharkBot gets back up to 200, gets the mothership out. Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be a long cleanup, but it looks like SharkBot should have this one pretty.
I can't see what would happen at this point. Like, unless you get one of those weird things where the depot breaks because of an attack, and suddenly there's a flood, and he can't deal with it. But the unit comp isn't such that that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's like even if the depot breaks at this point, it's like, do you lose that hard?
Yeah, like there, he basically just one shot at the CC.
He does technically have Storm. That would be a nasty storm to hit.
Yeah, he doesn't get close enough, I think, because of the tanks. But yeah,
Yeah,
that would just
scary.
murder everything. I think when he's losing the interceptors, I think that's what's triggering the retreat till he rebuilds. But yeah, he's gonna get that down soon. There's not enough bio there left.
And once these Tempests clear the tanks, then the Stalker, DT, High Templar force can kind of actually push in, and yeah, looks like this is gonna be, like we said, slowly cleaned up. But gotta go to a map 3, first map 3 of the night.
Yeah. Weird way to get there. But
Yeah,
I guess that's where we're going. $50,000 APM. Yep. Looks like my game. Yeah, seems reasonable. Individual control of interceptors. That'd be fun.
That'd be actually so sick.
That'd be quite cool. So yeah, I don't know what to say about this one other than something broke. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe we'll get some explanation on that in the future, but it could just be one of those. I don't know. Something. Usually when that happens, so there are situations where we've seen an enemy unit present be the thing that is the problem. So like a changeling is there and they know it's there, so they won't lower a depot. But then because it's a changeling, because it's a changeling, they don't kill it. So there's things like that where you can trap someone in their base because of the logic to not lower. But in this case, it's hard to tell what that was.
Yeah, like, because the only thing that like interacted with them was that first Oracle, but like, that makes no sense.
And it feels like this was already happening, I think.
Yeah, like the Oracle wasn't as aggressive as it could have been. Like it just like didn't really play a part in the game. Yeah, very odd.
Strange indeed. But yeah, there we go. We'll go to game 3 coming up. Some of this stuff never even get used. I don't think we saw a Storm. I don't think we saw a DT.
We saw DT run in somewhere, but I don't think it was one DT and was with the army.
Yeah, we got to see this pickup. I like that.
The Phoenix we used.
Pick up the tank. Yeah, just pick up the tank. Makes sense.
If you have one Phoenix, that's what you do. You either pick up a tank or you get hit by a Widow Mine. That's kind of your
job.
MO. Yeah.
All right, so going on to our map number 3, Golden Aura here. Nice Arizona-looking region. Yeah. With nice ramps.
Very red.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like a decent Cannon Rush map, right? I feel like Golden Aura used to be in the rotation, and I used to not mind. I mean, it's no Death Aura.
No.
The 2 pylon that like even Zest was like cannon rushing or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not bad. Fairly normal looking main and natural. I feel like most of the maps other than whichever one CatRock was having trouble with that have the same side spawn. I feel like most of these are pretty normal looking corner maps. No weird mineral patches to mine through and get back alleys and stuff.
Yeah, it's gimmicky stuff.
Yeah.
So I think we're ready. So we'll jump in to map number 3.
Micro Machine. SharkBot.
All right, we got another gateway. We already have a little bit of funkiness with the depots, so I'm really hoping it doesn't stay that way. But
just do the same thing.
It does look a little scary.
Yeah, it's got that feel to it. We got the one derping SCV down there, one at top. Yeah, I don't know what would this be, and why didn't it happen in the first game? Trying to think whether he walled off. Yeah, that's really weird. If that's
He did because he got cannoned,
Yeah, he
and
did.
the first barracks got killed, and the 2 depots were over there. So, I mean,
you know what,
the
though?
cannon rush makes it.
Yeah, he never maybe
Yeah.
got a chance to get stuck because the depot was killed.
Yeah, he was only practicing against cannon rushes, and it all looked normal.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah, so it's possible it was just broken the whole time and we didn't know.
Yeah, that's actually really funny. That would make total sense though. If this
Yeah.
was the problem, a cannon rush would,
Yeah.
quote unquote, fix the problem for
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just one of those weird things where the unit can either lead you into salvation or, lead you on a wild goose chase and destroy you. Like the little intricacies of the interactions that determine whether or not it's a huge success or a huge failure is just, it's so interesting what's actually taking place, like what the actual interactions are, where it's like, oh, I didn't know if I didn't cannon rush that you would be broken the entire time.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like what a peculiar situation.
So I'm curious this time then. So last time the oracles came out and they also acted weird and did something wrong. So I'm kind of curious, is that going to be different? Is he going to be effective with this? It's making its way across and a second one coming. If this just goes and sits behind the mineral line, it doesn't do anything, it patrols, then I don't know what the hell's happening.
Yeah, that does feel weird, but like, I feel like I don't know. That almost seems harder to blame on the map.
Yeah,
or, you know what I mean?
Like
Like
the
it just
problem
like
would be. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I didn't like it's such an identical start.
So this time he's
Okay.
just straight in, again with the stasis. But
Oh, what a money stasis!
yeah, pretty good one instead of the kills, and then he'll do
It's
whatever.
hanging out a little close though.
He's also doing the loop like a cartoon character that's been like confused. It's got that sort of like spinning bird over the head look.
He's keeping the momentum. I see it
Yeah.
as he's running in place.
Yeah.
Getting ready to shoo.
I
right out
think
of
there is something that it's funny, but there is something to that. The acceleration.
Oh yeah, I mean that's why everyone.
That's why they do it. Yeah.
That's why they do. What's it called?
Yeah.
Patrol move,
Yeah.
so that you can actually have like the boost of momentum always going with you.
So yeah, there's the Phoenix.
The single Phoenix.
Yep. And Tempest, and I don't know that SharkBot's going to do anything to attack any faster than time before. This time, so he's going to float the CC down, presumably. Yeah, I don't know what.
This looks brutal.
It's weird. It's even weirder maybe than the time before.
Yeah.
Because the last time it was like, okay, I see what you're doing. You're trying to get down there. I don't know what they're doing.
They're trying to build a goddamn engineering bay.
Now that it lands, yeah.
You know very well what they're trying to do. All right.
Yeah.
They're trying to build an engineering bay.
Yeah. As soon as the CC lands, they try and go. Okay. The Oracle obviously attacking the most rational target.
Yeah, and with 50 energy should be able to take it down, right?
Yeah, I think so.
As long as the repair doesn't come through.
At least, exactly. At least getting into burning, and then he's gonna stick with it. No, Twitter. Twitter.
Yeah, this is pretty unfortunate because it will be just another probably loss for Micro Machine after about 10 more minutes.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, again, what can break him out of this?
A cannon rush.
Theoretically, yeah.
A forge first is the only thing that can break him out.
If he nukes his own ramp, that would help.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Please let me build the missile turret.
No deal. Repairing the CC.
That Oracle's gonna come back and be so disappointed.
So-
I was about to finish this off.
So, given the game state, I might suggest a fast forward.
Yeah, it may not be the most active
Yeah.
mid game.
Yeah, last time SharkBot basically went up to the 200 before we saw any move.
Yeah, I mean, and they're getting their upgrades. They're, which I mean, a very like Zena feeling approach of, I expected only early fast aggression, never going to mid game, and instead they gave me like the most like upgrade, macro heavy, late tech gameplay. You know, like it feels so not like SharkBot. You know.
Yeah,
Like,
it's very weird. Yeah, it does feel out of character. And also again, this one's a tiny bit different. I think there's less mining on the low ground, but it doesn't feel like it's enough for getting 3 base and teching up and all this stuff. The supply doesn't feel like enough.
yeah,
Like
I mean,
if he was being attacked by something, I think he'd be in trouble.
it is the heaviest supply you can get, so it does feel
Yeah.
like it feels like the greediest way to build army is
Yeah.
like building an army that once you're maxed out, you don't need to replace anything.
Yeah.
But that does make it, yeah, like at any time, if these units were not stuck in
Yeah.
the space,
Yeah.
they
this
would
was
destroy
unleashed.
2 carriers,
Exactly.
3 tempests, like, you know.
Yeah, easily, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's no gateway support to this. Like particularly playing against Micro Machine, if he was working, is a very aggressive bot.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like SharkBot had safety to get there. It's just working out that it's going to work out, but it feels like an odd way to go, and he's just teching to everything. But
Feels like the strat is missing some nuance of, yeah, it almost feels like, did you watch any, you know, King Cobra, the cannon rusher?
yeah.
Yeah, when he beat, I think he beat Clem and Marine Lord, or Hero Marine, in an ESL, and so immediately I was like, oh, I'm gonna watch the crap out of this guy.
Yeah.
And his build was almost similar to this. His PVT, you know, very only Stargate, big Admiral units,
Yeah.
but behind that he would build a ton of static defense. You know, so he has cannons and shield batteries to go with the 4 Tempests that he has in the mid game, where you're like, oh my gosh, these are no amount of units. Like, this is not enough army supply. But if you have 1 Colossus, 1 Tempest, 1 Disruptor, you know, he'd go like a little bit of Robo just to have 1 of each. And then he had cannons, and like that would be really hard to push into. And then you could kind of get into this super late game carrier Tempest, you know, Sky Toss, beautiful army. But if you don't have the static defense, it just looks like a really weak army for most of the game.
Yeah.
Like almost the bulk of the game, it looks very weak and very fragile.
Yeah, makes sense for sure. But yeah, sometimes you got to be on the defensive end to be able to get to like this high class stuff. But yeah, and the angle here that this attack happened, I think just the positioning of everything made this more of a one and done instead of this push and pull back and forth a bunch.
Yeah.
So yeah, breaking in now, and this one, like mercifully a little bit faster than the first. But yeah, I'm curious what happened here. Maybe we'll get some update from the author in the future on just if something bugged out, something changed, something like that.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that game 1 went in a way that almost hid the problem, you know, and then you watch the other 2 games and you're like, yeah, that was probably messed up since game 1. We just got lucky, unlucky, however you want to call it. Yeah,
very strange. But yeah, there we go. So SharkBot will advance 2-1 over Micro Machine, and good stuff. Micro Machine can still get out in the consolation match, provided that he's better.
Yeah, are they able to do revisions?
I forget,
then?
Drek, if you're there, what was the timing of it? Was it this week or next week? Sorry, the update for bots, if they were to, when was the update deadline? Or like when can it? Okay, so this is post. So he has to play the consolation at this state.
Oh,
so
okay.
So maybe it'll depend too. It could be race dependent. Do you wall off against another race? Maybe not.
Yeah, I feel like TVT probably the best to not, have that logic.
So we'll see. So different things can do different things.
And if he gets rushed, if it's a Zealot or a Ling Rush, that works.
Maybe
they dominate those kind of games when they're not stuck.
Yeah, for sure. So could get lucky, could get fixed. Micro Machines had a couple transient problems in the past. There was one it had way back when it would speed mine gas using a bunker, but on some maps, the gases are on opposite sides, and on some they're on the same side. And so if it was on opposite sides, it would try and do it, but they weren't adjacent, so it couldn't do it and it would crash.
Interesting. Okay.
And so I think when they originally coded it, all of the maps that were in play were on the one side.
Yeah,
And
or
then
at least like the
map-
main base.
yeah, that sort of thing. So yeah, so there's things like that can happen, but yeah, so we'll find out maybe what happened here and see if it happens next week. But yeah, there was also one period of time where it stopped taking any gas at all and only played with minerals.
I mean, if you're gonna do it with a
That
race, Terran
you
is
gotta
the...
do it, Terran. Yeah, makes sense. So let's look on to match number 4. This one might be quick, depending.
Either
although
way, yeah.
we kind of got what we haven't expected out of a lot of people, though. So Zozo, we expect to be cheesy. For all we know, it's turned into a macro bot.
Yeah, it's gonna go
So,
Tempest and
yeah.
Infester. Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't know. Let's take a look at the side by side here. A lot of trophies under Eris's name there. Strategy, so it's reactive above question sucks. Just because a bot is not using machine learning doesn't make it hard coded. So I think this is we had asked the question, is your bot hard coded or machine learning? Those are not a binary choice.
Gotcha,
as he points out there. Yeah, long-term cost efficiency, definitely a trademark of Eris. Greedy early, takes good fights. Generic, but not hard-coded solution. So it is adaptive. It is reactive to what the scenario is, as hopefully we'll see in this case. So yeah, not following a script, but is not, AI. And no addition. It's just a cat and a dwarf.
I was saying the picture is fire.
Yeah, straight. Zozo, no strategy, no weakness.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's
my
the way
kind
to
of
go.
Protoss. No strategy, no weakness. Just
this is
play
the way
the
to go.
freaking game.
Just go.
Just
Yeah,
go, dude.
Just go. Yeah. So Eris, I believe, has more championships than Zozo has appearances. But actually, I think they're tied. I think it's 4-4.
Yeah, but Eris has more weaknesses than Zozo has anything.
That's true. That's true. And yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. Yes, Eris, if there is a weak point, it possibly is that very, very early game. But a lot of people have gone with that premise and then ran into a brick wall. What Eris is really, really good at doing, and we saw in the first round Eris played, is just stalling you out long enough that it will look on paper like Eris has half the army supply, is not prepared, whatever, and you start to move across the map with a death army, and it finds a way to delay that army by 20, 30, 40 seconds, and then there's 20 Hydras waiting for you.
Does it delay it by like counter-attacking? Like
a mix. So counter-attacking with lings, pulling you apart, attacking you a little on each side, flybys with mutas to keep you in your base, a bunch of different ways. But it just feels, you feel like you're there. You feel like you're getting on creep, you're getting to the base, and you just never get there. It's like running in quicksand.
Yeah.
But an early rush, like a zealot rush, if that's what we get, that's harder to deal with, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if it works really well, but if it doesn't work, going into the late game when your opponent failed an early rush is going to be a greater lead and going to be even more rough. So we'll see if Zozo can get it done quick, or if Eris will play the long game and take it out.
All right, hop in.
Eris. Zozo.
Hey, I need to see is this a Nexus first? Oh, no, the Pimp's there. It's going to be the flower, duh.
Yeah,
I was... Okay, my brain was working overtime trying to figure out. I forgot that Zozo is the... I mean, like, I didn't forget, but...
Oh,
for the first 20 seconds I did.
So while this gets up, okay, he's going to attack it, and
This is in
etc.
slow-mo, just
Okay.
so
Yeah.
we know. We can go one more speed up.
Yeah, that seems.
There you go.
Okay. So that's that. This is really aggressive. It's like right in his face.
Which I love.
I think, yeah, it might work. He usually at least hides this, but maybe he wants that extra step. And yeah, with the second probe, yeah, like
Yeah, three gates, three
two more
pylons.
pylons. Yeah,
Yeah, I love
so
this.
it doesn't matter. This isn't going to be stopped. He's got to respond to this. While this is getting up, though, so one of the coders of Micro Machine is explaining in chat here. So the reason that this may have been bugged in this last game, and it's really clever, and it makes it so it probably won't happen in the next game. SharkBot sent the first probe and then recalled it with the Nexus. You had commented on that.
Oh yeah, that we came in a little bit late. And
Because he recalled with the Nexus, he's saying that his bot may not have understood it left. And remember, I said if there's a unit there, the depot won't go down.
Yeah.
He thinks the unit is still there.
And you even used the example of the changeling, which
Yeah.
obviously very different, but it makes so much sense with what we were talking about with the puck being there and object permanence of bots is obviously a very difficult concept.
Yeah,
totally. That's crazy. That makes so much sense though.
Yeah, so that's really cool. I mean, bad obviously in that case, but yeah, but if that's the case, then not only is it a bug, it was a bug that was triggered on purpose.
Not only is it a bug, it's
by
a feature.
his opponent. Yeah, exactly. A bug for you, a feature for your enemy.
Yeah.
Really good drone control here, taking down at least the first zealot. But yeah, I agree.
There's no pool.
I
Yeah,
don't think
it's
the pool's done. But you went up to Roach, you can't get there. It's just not going to happen.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think trying to rely on the drone stopping this, and he just overkilled it. And yeah, you've got to. I think the only way to hold this is spines, like maybe with crazy control, but you need a stable point that you can stand at, and I think spines is the only way to do it. It feels like once you stabilize a tiny bit, getting up to Roach can work, but you can't get there before this kills you, and you can't get there and only have a few of them and then kite them around. You have to have a place to stand, because the zealots will be made faster than you can kill them.
Yeah. I feel like it's one of those things where you almost have to ignore it as much as you can so that you can get the economy going, so that you can have like a queen or two, have some spines, and then you can get the lings to kind of fill in the gaps. But yeah, pulling the workers down to try to stop it, I think just is never going to work. And then that slows down everything else you're doing. And the three workers were chasing that probe like halfway across the map.
Yeah.
So that's just like a quarter of your early economy completely dedicated to
that.
Nothing.
When those three drones should have become spines.
Yeah. And then
Like,
if you can also, if you can get the one creep tuber down and get the spines to actually wall off the top of the ramp, then you're in like heaven. You know, you get your queen to block a hole, you get some roaches. They don't have high ground. It's just so annoying. But yeah, pulling the workers down, if you're not gonna have like a pool coming up and like hard stop it right there, it's just shooting yourself in the foot.
For sure. So yeah, let's see if a different map makes a difference. That was a really aggressive location for it. I think we've often seen him put it off to the side more,
like the third or the fourth location, kind of.
So maybe that doesn't draw the drones, etc. And maybe he's better off. But let's see on Gresvin here what may be the last match of the night.
Eris. Zozo.
Yeah. But he's going hatch first. So yeah, here first pylon a little bit outside the natural, but that's still not too far. He's had pretty decent judgment in the past on whether to go for the hatchery or just bypass it.
Yeah, there's like good things and bad things working in his favor. Okay, so
Sees it,
hatch
cancel.
gets
Okay.
canceled.
Response to it, but then will he respond appropriately to it? The pool is down, but that's already really late.
Yeah,
Because the pool has to get down as soon as it's done, spines immediately, and I already feel it's too late.
and the queen. Yeah, you gotta get the queen up, and you gotta get spines because the queen adds so much like just tankiness.
Yeah. And you maybe get a one, you need larva. Two,
Yeah.
you need probably a later transfuse, and like you said too, maybe creep tumor.
Yeah,
to
little
take
creep,
control.
little tank, and the range is such a big part of it as well. To be able to not have to be inside the zealots to damage them,
Yeah.
because lings just feel so bad. Lings
Pool
feel
about
so
to
bad.
finish. The first zealot literally already out. Okay, spine coming down. One isn't enough. Two getting down. Yeah, probably even need a third. And the
Yeah, because
roach-
one's gonna get canceled.
Yeah.
One's gonna get canceled by the
Oh
zealot.
yeah,
like
for sure. Yeah, you gotta assume
immediately.
that one's gonna die. Okay, going after the drones here though may buy
yeah.
some time. Queen about to pop. He hasn't actually killed any of these. If he takes this out, which he does pretty cleanly, this
We
is
got
going to
one,
be
yeah.
a pretty good hold. But 3 more coming in. It's not quite
Four,
up.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost getting to the point where it's a
Okay.
continuous stream. Although
Alright.
the spines are scaring them a lot.
Yeah. Okay. I still think he needs a third. But the fact that he actually retreated back, he's going to come back with like 8.
There's the extra larva too.
Yeah. He doesn't. Roach is starting. Yeah. So there we go. Queen in a decent position here. The thing is, these have to live, and they can't.
Yeah,
Like
the
the roaches
timing,
aren't going to
yeah.
be out. Yeah. There's not enough time. I think you needed to make lings, even though you didn't really want to.
Yeah, you have to have something to scare the zealots so they can't just commit
Yeah.
when they have 8.
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
4 lings, 2 more roaches coming. Now we're going to get into that thing of like they die too fast. Like
And you
the
don't have any
drones. Yeah, there's
drones
no
anymore.
stability.
Like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if you hold now.
Yeah. So I think he will fall. That was a lot better. But again, I think it had to be 3. And you had to get at least a small round of lings to. You only needed 10 seconds, maybe 15, but didn't have it. He's kind of cleaning up, but there's nothing.
It's still
else.
workers to 16, yeah.
Yeah.
So if Zozo can just
Yeah.
pull up another 8 zealots,
Yeah.
they're gonna be running into like the amount of money that Eris is gonna make will make like one more roach once
Yeah.
Zozo has the 8 zealots again. So like there's just never gonna be that.
Okay, and drones are coming down to attack too, which is exactly now he's like that was all his workers. So yeah, now he's gonna get one roach stuck out. Yeah, I think if he had camped up, well, maybe you make a spine there, and then you're in a game of does Zozo have a second gear? Can it change?
Yeah,
to
yeah. If
something?
you do wait it out, is
Yeah.
there like a
Yeah.
is there a 2 punch to the 1-2 combo?
Yeah. But yeah, either way, that is it. Here's the last drone, which will get eventually
Yeah,
chased
so-
down.
For the most part, a night full of upsets. I think SharkBot
Yeah.
over Micro Machine probably like the least crazy
Yeah.
of the result, but all the other results kind of like not like ginormous upsets, but like all of them I was fairly confident that the person was going to win. I didn't know Eris. I knew of Eris, but I hadn't seen them. But of just hearing about them, I thought Eris was like a for sure shoe-in. CatRock, last season's champion, I thought obviously for sure going to win. And then even BenBotBC is like a pretty, I feel like veteran, seasoned bot. That I thought especially against the Zena matchup, yeah, you get out of here.
I'm
feel like you don't belong,
I'm
Mr.
getting in
Sword.
my rectangle.
But yeah, I feel like the whole night was full of. I thought the exact opposite was going to happen almost every single map, other than maybe the SharkBot one. The SharkBot I thought Well, but the way that SharkBot did it was still like
Yeah.
not how I thought it was gonna happen.
Yeah.
So that was an awesome night of matches.
I want to say this is my favorite night of all ProBots because it is my biggest worry that we've ever had was that it was going to be stale. That we would reach a point in ProBots where like the micro machines, the Erises, and they would just like win forever. Like Eris is, as we saw from the amount of Eris like
Trophies,
championships. Yeah. Like there is a Eris kind of retreated in a way because they felt a little confident that they were just gonna like almost give the other competition of bots time to catch up, and so
like not fun. Yeah.
So they they brought in Phobos, they experiment around and do little new things and try their framework, and so now they haven't had a W for a while, so they brought back Eris, and Zozo just bopped him. My man Zozo just bopped my Eris right out of here, and we just talked him up not too long ago. We talked up how Eris is like queen bee, and Zozo, which I don't know how to get across to you, B, how like Zozo technically is just like he started off like his worker rushing only, and somehow he's taking out the top bot in all of ProBots with just. And you know what it is? It's super aggressive. That's the weakness.
Yeah.
It's just, everyone's known it for a while. Everyone's talked about it. Is that Eris's biggest weakness is that it's super greedy, but its responses are real. Even though the response we just saw was actually decent, it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, wasn't quite enough.
Yeah. So
and the timing and the spacing of the scouting was just like a little bit off. Where it's like, if you would have seen that a little earlier and started those spines and the pool a little bit earlier. Yeah, it's a whole new game, but it's like.
But the thing is, the key thing is, it's the right response. A lot of bots don't respond properly to things like that. They don't have like a good response. They might try something, but like the spines is the right response. It's just maybe not enough spines or not the amount of times. That's just tweaking, as opposed to like the logic of knowing to. This is what's being done to me. Yeah. This is how I respond.
When it's a timing issue, you can readjust it a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's a comprehension or a
logic issue. If it's a logic issue, that's like a lot harder because you have to think through the logic. But like Eris has the logic, it's just off, right?
Yeah. No. And I think the attempt to counterattack there at the end, like to chase them back to their spawning location, not just with the roaches, but with drones and lings. Just doesn't that was very wrong. So he got almost a miraculous hold with very few workers, but had he kind of turtled up there, maybe.
But the hold almost looks like a like if someone was trying to like can rush or something, and you're trying to like just stop it in its tracks. Sometimes that worker pull where it's like you're fighting at your natural. Sometimes that is the right answer.
Sometimes
it's cool that he has the there is that concept of like if I shut it down, they are so screwed that I can.
Well, that's Eris in a nutshell, right? Like it has 2 to 3 layers to it, where sometimes a bot may respond, and then it's done. It's out of gas, and then that's the end of whatever it was doing. So Eris has like a counter, and then it has a response to that counter. And then if that counter is successful, this is what I'll do next. And that's actually, I would say, fairly rare. But like, let's talk about my boy SharkBot, because. He's channeling his Yamabushi inner Yamabushi and bringing back into the ProBots meta I want to call it the logic snipe. It's like the bug snipe. We have not seen this kind of sniping in, I have to say, like 3-4 years. Like
to that level of brutal. Not for quite a while. We've seen things where like you go in with workers and it causes an overreaction, blah blah blah. Like, but that's a very game reaction. This is a code attack.
This is a code attack.
This is a I know that you can't identify this.
That this is a weird mechanic that the bots are not gonna like trying to understand.
Yeah, and it's like that's so clever. Like when it's explained, it's kind of a.
It's actually really cool.
I like it. I'm sure that Micro Machines authors don't love it right now, but I think it's cool. I think it's cool that you can do that, and we used to get more of that. Like you said, Yamabushi. I forget who it was they were playing, but it was literally I'm gonna go to a random spot.
Kagamine.
Yeah, put a pylon here and it will just break you.
It was Yamabushi
Like,
with 4-Way
yeah.
Lover with Kagamine. He put like a pylon right where he would build his natural, and he just blew the whole bot apart. He just exploded. So, you know, I like this part of the meta because it essentially says you need to be not just good at StarCraft, but you have to be a good coder. You have to watch your bugs, right? Or they're up for grabs. So, you know, obviously you're gonna get a level of saltiness that comes from this because this is, you know, this would be the equivalency of mind games for bots. You know, if you're doing chess or any of those where mind games come into play, this would be the mind game element of ProBots.
It's almost like creating a new chump check, like creating a new meta of a different kind of chump check where it's like, well, have you thought about this? Well, now if you don't, I will just win from just that one interaction that you didn't consider. So now you better consider that interaction from every bot that you build.
Well, it's like, bro, how clean is your code? How clean is it? Bam! Oh, not clean enough. Sorry.
Yeah.
You're out. So,
and it's not that big of a commitment to recall one pro. You know, like it's such a minimal effort to be like, did you do this right? No? All right, I'll take the win.
But the thing is, though, that is something that you would have to assume that Shark Nice looked for. Like that's a lab thing. That's a thing you take the bot in and you test and you're like, oh, okay.
Or like it accidentally happens to you and something gets recalled and your bot like can knock it over and you're like, I could take advantage of recalling some stuff. And the earlier you do it, the more it's gonna mess up everything that follows.
And it'd be nice to know if he discovered it or if he purposely looked for it. That would be something that would be the question of the day, is if he went looking for it specifically, or if he like did it once and he's like, yeah, you know, interesting. And then because he did it, I guess he did it. He didn't do it the first game, but he obviously did a game 2 and 3. So it was a response to losing the first game.
Yeah.
Well, I think also if you're cannon rushing, it makes no sense to recall a pro.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think it was paired with his more macro build of like, all right, I'm gonna go to late game Stargate. Let's do an early scout, but also mess up any code that we can.
Yeah, and he may have stumbled on it by accident. I think he was one of the ones, because we've seen people do that, recall their scouting pro before. So he may have just stumbled into that. Was like, oh, what's this?
I think in human games, it is worth it to recall your probe rather than chrono boost and lose that probe across the map. So like, it's not like it's a thing that only is done in bot matches. It's a thing that humans do it. But
he probably at some point, and we're all speculating, but I think there's an element of which he recalled once and noticed that there was no response, reaction from it.
I think there was malicious intent. Yeah.
For sure.
I think he wanted to screw the other bot when doing it.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Nobody is saying what we just saw was an accident. I'm saying he discovered.
He didn't have to like invent that
by
idea.
Accident. Yeah.
But no, the way he used it is sickening. Yeah.
I love it. Absolutely delicious. And so, what else is delicious? Let's take a look at our matches coming up. There is also, as has been pointed out, there is no update for the next one. So some people are gonna have to go in with their bugs laid bare. So. Well, luckily we won't. You're not going to see these recall from Micro Machines' next opponent, which is Mini-Testic. Well, it's not P. It's Mini-Testic. Whatever. It feels like that day. And CatRock versus 12 Pool Bot. That will be. I don't even know how to describe what that could be. That will be either incredibly amazing or like internally horrifying. And then BenBotBC versus Bomb Shaker. Don't know how I'll say that. And then Eris versus Clickagenia. Okay. We got a real interesting lineup of the second round.
Indeed. We do.
I feel like Eris is unfamiliar with being in the losers brackets. I don't know what that like.
It's not happened.
You release a piranha into the fishbowl cage or something like that. I don't know.
It is always funny when like a big favorite goes into losers a little early, and you're like, well, that's gonna screw up a lot of people's losers bracket. That sucks. It's one of those things where I don't know what Eris doing down in the lowers bracket, what that's gonna mean up for the others, but I feel confident that Eris is gonna get out, but
Gentlemen,
I
your
would
thoughts.
still think so. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't like that. Doesn't like lightning doesn't strike twice. I think on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and same I think with Micro Machine. Now that we kind of have that explanation that it's not an isolated, it's a bug you must provoke. So
Yeah.
So yeah, that's not going to happen again.
It's more of
either.
a pro on SharkBot than it is
Yeah.
a con on Micro Machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you right now in the lower brackets, you're gonna have a Micro Machine and Eris just kind of scurrying around. Actually, can we see those brackets again? As we see, they're not in the same. I don't believe in.
No, they're not in the same group.
Okay, so that's fine. We should be fine. They should be fine to get out, and then we'll.
All these groups, once they get out, if they win their losers match, they go back into like winners, right? They're all like in another single limb.
They go to a single
complete
limb.
reset. Yeah,
that's why
we go back to single limb. Yeah. So go to single limb. So the top two gets out. So these guys are all out. All the ones that we saw tonight are out, and they're in their single elimination brackets. But we don't have that made up, so you won't get to see that. But just use your imagination. But you'll see it.
You know what a bracket is.
You know what a bracket looks like. You know what that looks like.
Rectangles.
Yeah. It's 8 rectangles becoming 4 rectangles, becoming 2 rectangles, becoming a trophy.
Much like
becoming a trophy, released exactly into the air. As many rectangles that exhibit can master for you all to see. All right, cool. That was what a wild night of ProBots. A little bit longer than ever, but still worth it. I reiterate again that anytime we don't get just a 2-0 run through and like it's same 2 bots, we got a real match. We got a real match now in terms of who can take the #1 spot. And I don't know. This could be the year of the Zozo. It could be. Like
Zozo's looking good.
Like he's looking pretty sly.
Yeah, could be the year of the Zena too.
Dude, Zena's looking hot.
Zena enter the year of the Protoss. I mean, Zena's random, but Zena's Protoss look.
I mean, we haven't had a Protoss winner in ProBots in a couple years. Like. And a random winner is actually never. We've never had a random. I guess tier if you count him when
he was like a switching race.
Always, he was always chosen,
declared.
Declared. But
I do declare.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, either which way, what you can declare is that like button. If you are around and you are still here, or if you come and watch the VOD, because I see you guys who will watch the VOD once this is all done, you hit that like button. I know you haven't hit it yet. And you will do so now. Perfect. Now that you've done that, don't forget to hit that subscribe and check out AIarena.net because that's where all these bots are coming from. If you actually want to, make sure you get yourself a bot. We have a template in the description below just for you. Super easy. You can get your bot started like today. It's like really easy. You can be up and running maybe 15 minutes and, make a cannon rush or, SCV rush or something. Easy, super easy.
Would love to have more cannon rushes in the
Well, tournament. I guess depends who it is. Like maybe some people don't want that.
I want that.
We need it.
Make it.
I think a cannon rushing is actually a lot harder than it looks. I actually say it's actually one of the harder things to do.
It's so based on building placement, which everyone always says is one of the hardest things.
Yeah, I would say like even for my bot, I can't even do wall offs properly because it's because you have to calculate the different map rotations where your wall offs and the changing of it. You can do your primary one because like your main base is easy, but the lower base, especially when you have one that has ramps coming up to it, everything changes. So that can be a pain. Either which way, super easy. If you actually want to join, myself and others while we're building and working on our bots, go to ProBotsAI.com/join, or just go to the main page and hit the join button. And become a member today. Become a member, and you can join me on Mondays in our mob bot programming. You don't need to get started on your own bot. You can build a bot with me. And if not, come at PostBots. PostBots, I believe we have T-Bone's creator going to talk to us how to incorporate Unity into your bot. So that'll be fascinating. How Unity gets used in making bot making. So that's join us for that at the end of the month. Either which way, gentlemen, that was a lot of fun, and I think it was a great show. Final thoughts for the evening before we wrap up our show.
A lot of surprises. Just because they're bots doesn't mean they do the same thing.
We made that mistake. Yeah, we made that mistake when we first started. We were like, why should we even have best of threes or best of
Yeah.
sevens? It's gonna be the same thing. That is not the case.
Yeah, well, and then you even sometimes watch the exact same strategy go down, and
Yeah.
it's like
Very,
one
very slightly
unit
different
pulling
map.
them away, or
Yeah.
one unit pulling them towards the hidden base that they have. There's so many, like I said before, just intricate interactions that are going on that kind of create the tapestry that is each individual game. And so yeah, today has been super fun. Mostly just being shocked and awed by all these cheeser bots that are going to go into like 15-minute games and like some of the most unit diverse compositions that we've seen for a while. So yeah, sick and very it's very exciting to keep going and see what how it actually shakes out.
I want to get you back. Make sure you're here, Benyosh, because I want to see an Eris game, like an Eris in all its glory.
That doesn't get
Yeah.
bopped by Zozo.
Yeah, exactly. Because I feel like we didn't get to see Eris full bloom. We just got to see Eris got a little.
It felt a
We
little
will.
it like
We
a lot
will.
of build up and then
yeah.
an unfortunate 2-minute like stomping. Get him out of here.
No,
Like,
but
no,
like
they
Eris-
win everything. Serious, they win everything.
Again, Eris is very impressive, and I'd love for you to see it. And I want you guys out there, you come and see it too. And the only way you can do that if you tune in next week at 7:30 p.m. Eastern here on the ProBots AI channel on YouTube. You don't even have to remember, hit subscribe, it'll pop up in your feed. I promise you.
Hit that bell.
Hit
Get
that bell.
notified.
All them things. You can not miss it. All right. Other than that, everybody, have a good night and happy coding out there. Bye.